Mythos Busters, investigating the mystery, monsters, and madness of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Hello and welcome to episode 82 of Mythos Busters. I'm Sean. Joining me tonight are my friends Ian. Hey Ian.
Hello.
How are you on this fine Sunday evening?
Oh, I'm back. The last couple of episodes I was struggling with various sickness, and I'm almost back to 100%.
You were missed. So, I do have to ask how you keep getting sick despite everyone being in quarantine. That's not how that's supposed to work. I have no freaking idea. I
mean, the one kind of common factor is the first time I got sick, my baby, who's now at 1 year old, sneezed in my face. And then the second time she sneezed on my arm, so I think I'm kind of sensing a theme. but still.
Well, I'm glad you're with us. Are you exhausted from our look what I found? I'm exhausted. Oh, so much hype expended.
Yeah, but I'm glad it goes right into some of the stuff we're talking about. I've been waiting to talk about these cards.
We saved it for you, right, Scott?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm good.
Sorry, I'm trying to be a little bit more conversational with my intros tonight. I can see it's going well so far.
10 out of 10. Would intro again.
Missing tonight is Nick. Through just some really unfortunate cosmic fuckery, Nick bought himself a new video card, the better to stream with, and in so doing fried his motherboard, which I feel so badly about. So he's going to be out of commission for the next little while. Who knows when his computer will be back up and operating? So we'll miss him for now, but he'll be here in spirit. I'll do my best to mention Shotgun at least twice in this episode, and it'll be about the same.
Well, there's once.
All right, hey, cool. Halfway done. Boom. Tonight we have got an extra fun episode. We are going through our normal intros as per always, but then tonight for our discussion topic, we are deep diving to the extent we can into the starter deck investigators and talking about all the stuff we kind of skipped over when we had Matt on. Really looking forward to it. They're exciting. And it's about all we can do when all the releases are on hold.
Yep.
It's the balm. It's kind of like licking your lips when they're chapped. Like, it's not actually getting you to where you want to be, but it feels good in the moment.
That is such an apt comparison.
Okay. All right. So, but before we get to any of that, just a quick reminder to anyone listening not live that you can listen live. Join our Discord. Just go ahead and search it. Our links are out there. If you can't find it, hit us up at our Gmail or message us on Facebook. That's mythosbusterspod@gmail.com, and we'll pop you a link. Very good community. I have to say, we've talked about it a few different times, and I know I waxed philosophical probably more than I should, but it's one of the things I'm proudest of. I didn't have a whole lot to do with its construction outside of just setting it up and watching it go, but we have a great community, so hop in. Reminder. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
I was gonna say water's warm.
It's about body temperature.
Yeah. Anyways.
So, reminder that our audio scavenger hunt goes until the end of April, so you've got just a couple more days to go and listen to a couple of old Mythos Busters episodes, find an Easter egg or two among the things that we've got set up on the scavenger hunt, and email them to us to win some fabulous prizes. Go ahead and check out the details on that at our website or on our social media channels. And then, of course, our March to Madness is now finally in session. So if you haven't seen it yet, again, check our social media and on Discord. It's pinned on the Arkham subreddit. We're doing a March Madness style tournament where we put the currently released Arkham investigators up against one another in single elimination matches. Prediction brackets are already in, so now the votes so far will determine the ultimate winners. So far, Jim and Mateo both won their play-in games. beating the odds. Jim beat Carolyn, which I did not expect.
That one could have gone either way. It really could have
Yeah.
gone either way.
Like, it's what I chose. Like, I voted for Jim, but I thought there were enough people out there who just really like Carolyn that she was just going to win it. And
I
then
struck out with
Mateo-
my predictions on both of these. So.
Oh, you went for the underdog on both?
Yeah.
There was
Definitely
an
on the
underdog?
second one. I'm not sure if there was an underdog in Jim and Carolyn, but definitely,
Yeah.
On the second
and
one.
then Mateo, speaking of, beat Lola. It's fine. Lola wasn't seeded, so it I don't want to dunk on Lola, but no one was surprised.
See, I predicted Lola to win because,
People dunk on Mateo all the time.
well, I just
What
feel
they
like
do, I mean,
I just feel like Lola gets talked about way more than Mateo. Like, Mateo hardly ever gets talked about. And, they say there's no such thing as bad press. So I just thought, even if people are talking about Lola to dunk on her, at least she's on their mind. So that was my thought that maybe
That's fair.
there would be some, hardcore Lola supporters out there who would vote her. But I was wrong.
Yeah.
I was very wrong.
But Mateo's got the really attractive, his ability, you know, like that. I think he might actually go a decent distance just because I think there's a lot of people that just hate the tentacles so much that they like Mateo. So we'll see.
And he could actually save someone else who he's playing with instead of drag them down.
Hey, Nick did his 25% as Lola.
The solid 25%. I'm actually more of a Lola supporter than I think a lot of people, but I can see why she lost.
Yeah, so if you haven't already, please go vote. I think what makes this fun is that the criteria for voting are completely self-determined. And I expect we're going to have some wacky matches that upset people's brackets, and it's going to be a really good time. And we got really good participation on this so far, so keep it rolling. We're going to make this an annual thing. Like, this is just fun.
I'm
enjoying it so far.
Yeah.
So we're gonna give you the round by round updates as we go. And let's see here, what else we got? Yeah, you know what? Let's just check in, guys. What have you been playing lately? What's your Arkham looked like? Ian, what you got going on?
Oh, well, since it's been a while since I was on, a few things. I've kind of tried to get my initial set of campaigns, rather, through Weaver of the Cosmos, and came up with a fat 0 for 4. All were defeated in Weaver of the Cosmos. 2 of them were solo, and 2 of them were two-handed, and just... The only ones who came close were the two-handed, and the solo plays were just not enough time. Doom Clock is way too tight.
Hard agree.
Yeah, that unfortunately I think in that scenario for true solo there's just not enough time because there's just not enough of a way to dig deep enough. If, like, for example, I had a solo Finn run through which pretty much was hitting everything as it should, just ran out of time, and when I looked at the deck, sure enough, the last card I needed was like the second from bottom. So it's like there's nothing I could really do at that point. But anyway, I don't want to. Sure.
I want to dwell just a few more minutes.
Okay, sure. Let's dwell.
Since we're talking about it, I'll hop in. Justin and I finally got around to playing that one in our current Dream Eaters campaign, and that's my third playthrough of it. And literally, I'm 3 for 3 on getting defeated in that scenario, and my first instinctual thought is, God damn it, I was doing so well. How am I already out of time? I guess I don't know. I've not played it above 2-player. Maybe with 3 to 4 players, you just can cover more ground, and that final little piece is small in map size, so I could see it. But yeah, without spoiling anything, it's just it
has to bring
left a
Marie
great
and use her SIG card and just stop the game for a turn.
Something.
Yeah.
Next up, Scott. Next up for me trying that scenario is your Speed Racer solo Ursula deck. So I'm really hoping she can get through it.
I mean, she gets 33% more actions essentially. So
True.
Well, and here's the thing: like that deck has been really fast, and I don't think I've gotten through anything as fast as you have because we've been playing through the same campaign at the same time. But like she just blazes. So if she can't get through it, I don't know. I might pretty definitively say like this one's a loser.
Yeah. Well, that's the problem with Where the Gods Dwell is that I don't mind necessarily a tight doom clock or even a hard scenario, but when you lose because of something that you have no control over, like say, because the solo Finn deck got through very quickly, but it's just because it's solo, there was no way to dig through fast enough. Then it's kind of like, okay, well, there's nothing like I could have really done differently. It just couldn't get through the deck.
Like, hard's fine. Like if the whole campaign ends because Yogg Sothoth hit me in the mouth, like great, not happy about it, but I'll take the loss. I got smashed by an old one, fine. But running out on the doom clock is not a particularly fun way to lose.
Sure. So anyway. What did happen is that once all my initial campaigns are over, I'm like, okay, that's it. So I had to bring out my pair of investigators I usually bring out when a scenario or a campaign is annoying me, which is Zoe and Wendy. That pair, I've really had a lot of success with developing it into kind of a combo where they can take out a lot of campaigns. And so I finally got a win against Where the Gods Dwell with those two.
Lies!
Yeah. It turns out it's pretty good when you can just kind of will to survive those final key tests in the scenario. Be like, yeah, I'm not drawing them from the bag. That's okay. Yeah. So that was actually
the counter bag, or remove the bag from the game. Suddenly yeah.
Just, it's funny. I think I mentioned it before, but how much you can turn Wendy and other survivors into reliable cloovers these days with all the kind of newish survivor tools like Winging It and Sharp Vision and Look What I Found. And if you recur those with Resourceful, and it's
Survivor Best Class.
And then
all right, you back.
And then on the Zoe side, I was running a kind of something I haven't done, which I was using Time Worn Brand instead of the big guns, which isn't necessarily different. But then I was running Leo DeLuca as her splash, and so instead of big guns, it was like just extra actions and just using the sword to kill people, and it was effective. So, yeah,
nice. What do you got going with Abandoned and Alone right now?
Abandoned and Alone, so if you're not familiar, started a solo audio series taking experimental decks, and I'm running Calvin through Return to Carcosa, and I'm up through Echoes of the Past, and so the next one I have going is Unspeakable Oath. And I'm a little bit nervous about that because Unspeakable Oath and... oh boy, that even for a very well-tuned solo investigator deck, that one can be close. The only time I feel like, okay, I'm not too worried is if I'm playing one of the classes that can teleport, like an elusive or a gate of some kind, but for someone like Calvin, doesn't quite have that, so the best I can do is I'm really hoping to get some track shoes out early, but I might be having to pick a new investigator to continue that campaign soon.
Do you have any front runners?
Of who to replace? Actually, no. I haven't
Lola,
thought about
right?
it too much. I've thought about Lola for potentially a future campaign. I don't know if I would bring her... halfway into a Carcosa campaign seems like the only place to put Lola. I feel like a lot of times the way I approach replacement investigators, if I have to bring one, is I'm looking for someone who can actually be pretty effective at level 0 and low XP. I don't know if Lola quite fits that bill, but we'll see. Sure.
All right, Scott, how about you? What you been playing?
I haven't had a super amount of time because I'm still working full time, and so is my wife, but from home. So, and we have a small child at home and all that stuff. But I have been playing a bit, and after the Speed Racer Ursula deck kind of got figured out, I decided to try her through Dunwich just to see how it went. It went amazingly well.
Return or vanilla?
Vanilla, actually.
Okay.
Because I hadn't played vanilla in so long. The last time I played, what was it? Goodness, extracurricular activities. I beat it in 6 turns, and I did that again with Ursula, which just seemed unbelievably fast. Essex was over in 4 turns, I think.
In what way?
Oh no, like I won.
Oh, nice. Okay. Well.
Yeah. Because I mean, Ursula, just you walk in, you grab the clue. You walk in, you grab a clue. Okay, there's 2 train cars. You do that 3 times, and then you go into the engine car and do what it says to do. And yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and there's actually one of our listeners and friends, Briscoe. He's taking that Ursula deck that I posted on ArkhamDB. If anyone wants to go there, I did a huge write up and stuff. He's taking it through the Circle and Done, and he beat the Witching Hour, got all the XP, and there's only 6 out of 8 Doom on the first agenda. So. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I encourage anyone who is struggling with solo, if you want to just blow something out of the water, go take that deck. Don't get used to that, though, because solo is usually quite a lot more difficult. But that deck's super fun.
Ursula is definitely the closest archetype to like a rush deck. Just win before your opponent can stop you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the whole thing, right? Like, oh no, I drew an enemy. Okay, I'm going to evade it and then just blaze right past it and never let it catch up to me again. Yep. Oh no, a treachery. I'll just tank the damage in the horror because who cares? Right? Like just, yep.
It's a good deck. Yeah. Can confirm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
As someone who plays almost no true solo and has no real authority on making such assessments.
What have you been playing, Sean?
Let's see here. So, aside from our Skids and Daisy campaign that we're playing on TNA, which unfortunately we missed this week because things got crazy on my end.
But we did get through Egypt. I don't think we talked about that.
That's true.
Show.
Well, we got through the first half of Egypt.
Yes.
And that was a hell of a game.
That game was amazing.
That one came down to the last action, right?
I believe it did.
To pop Neath? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ooh, man. Yeah, so the Eternal Slumber... Ooh, we did it. We got like 4 or 5 XP, but we also like set ourselves up for the the Strength of the Abyss to be at 4 to start next time.
Yep.
So those skulls are gonna hurt.
Mm-hmm. Oh well.
But it was a great game.
Jim.
Skids and Daisy did their thing. Yeah. Well, that might be the next deck I play. We'll see. Yeah. I've already started thinking about what we're gonna play next in TNA. We'll have to talk.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll put it to a vote. I don't know. Is anyone watching? Does anyone want to watch us fumble through something else? Skids and Daisy did their thing where it was like maybe,
mm-hmm.
maybe. Oh my God, they did it.
Yeah.
And it was the first time this campaign where the end of that was a yes instead of a no.
yeah. Where it comes down to like the last turn, and we succeed instead of fail somehow. So.
Yeah, but anyway, it was a great game. So check that out on our YouTube channel, and as always, check out our Discord and Twitch just to be kept apprised of when we'll be on next. Because next time is Knight's Usurper.
Mm-hmm.
I want a gun for those Night Gods. Like, I'll never be able to actually play them, but God, I love that one.
That's one of the best rewards there are.
3 whistles.
Yep.
Give me those black whistles, baby.
I need that whistle token. Need to make a whistle token. Custom whistles.
That you can actually whistle with.
Oh, yes! I should just go to, like, the dollar store and buy, like, 3 plastic whistles. Annoying ones that kids have.
I'm just going to play the Green Ranger's Dragon Zord tune every time I use one, if I do get it.
Fair.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We should do a slide whistle. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh,
hey, well, all right. Well, that's our next mission for the Knight's Usurper, so tune in for that. And then on my front, like I said, I played with Justin. We got we got run out by where the gods dwell, and then I have been running a Norman and Purple Pete run through Return to Dunwich. It's been going pretty well so far. They're both pretty flexy, which is, we've talked about this a lot in kind of the different ways you can play solo versus multiplayer. I have to say, though, like, since I've decided that, hey, most decks I build for two-handed, they're going to be mostly flexy with maybe a little bit of specialization. I can't say for sure whether they're better, because, specialist investigators just get shit done.
Yes. Like, Mark kills better than most anyone kills ever.
Yes. Like, you smash Mark and Rex together in a campaign, they're probably going to do okay.
Yeah.
But I will say that having flexi investigators for two-player makes it a more interesting and tactical affair.
Yes.
So I am enjoying kind of taking that, I guess, tactic in a more deliberate way than I have in the past. Moonstone and Ashcan turns out is pretty good. I know we discussed this a little bit, but between that and upgrading Peter, it's like, oh, okay, so you're like a 6-4-4-5 for all intents and purposes.
It's a DIY mystic.
And Scott, we talked about this last time that I completely panned Glimmer of Hope back when it first came out as just oh hey, cool, you can commit some wild icons and then pull them back, I guess. Like, that seems cool. But for any investigator where your thing is, hey, I discard cards for some cool benefit, I have really been enjoying Glimmer of Hope in Ashcan.
They're Scooby Snacks.
They're absolutely Scooby Snacks. Scooby Snacks with a wild icon that you might occasionally use. And it's great in Dunwich because Dunwich will mill cards from your deck and then Glimmer of Hope will pop in there and it's like, okay, well, there's that for later.
Yeah.
I love Return to Dunwich, by the way. It is... So, this is a weird comparison, but I think it'll click. So you remember, we've got a lot of video games that are being, like, remastered nowadays. There are some games where they completely remaster it, and it's like, okay, you just take the same template, and now this is a modern game with the old story as a guide. And then there are those remasters where it's like, this is... Like, Ocarina of Time for 3DS is the one where it's like, this isn't a modern remaster. This is just Ocarina of Time as I remember it being, as opposed to actually going back to an N64 and playing through that sloggy mess. That makes sense. Return to Dunwich feels like that to me. There are some notable changes and some story beats that are different, but it's just like brought into the modern age. This is Dunwich kind of like at the temperature I remember it. Anyway, big fan, particularly in Essex. I love the addition of the boss there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that's about what I've been playing. I've been debating what I'm gonna do next. So what I am gonna do next is I planned this to be a Return to Forgotten Age campaign, but I think I'm gonna finish this well before Return to Forgotten Age actually comes out. So it's probably just gonna be a vanilla vanilla Forgotten Age campaign. But I have an Akachi. That's just kind of meat and potatoes Akachi. I haven't played her in a while. Just want to see how she does in the modern card pool. And then I have a draft of that burglary. I have a burglar Jenny deck, grave robbing Jenny deck. That's going to go through Forgotten Age, and I'm actually really excited for how it's going to do. I think it's going to be pretty good. I'm pretty sure. Because you throw that asset down for one cost, and then like for the rest of the game, she's probably going to get 5 resources off of it for one action. Because you build that pool high enough, and you get well connected on the board, you can just ace tests. So anyway,
well connected and high roller.
Yep.
And yeah,
very, very excited to try that out. Yeah, so let's move into a quick patron update. Ian, what we got going on that front?
Okay, so first off, thanks to our board members. That's Chris B, Chris H, and Chris M, our conglomeration of Chris's. Morton, Jared, Ian, Kyle, Philip, Dave, Abilio, Nathan, Chad, and Robert. Thanks so much for your support. And special shout out to a random patron this time around is to Alan Dennison. Thanks, Alan.
Thanks, Alan.
And a couple of other things. Remember to hit up mythosmerch.com, where you can buy cool Mythos Busters merchandise, especially if you're a patron, because we have some patron exclusive merchandise that you can access if you're a patron. And there's some very cool stuff there. And I think, let's see, what am I missing? Oh, as far as a Gen Con update, I think we've already probably mentioned that we'll be doing swag regardless of whether Gen Con happens or not. But I know some people have been asking if we'll do other stuff if Gen Con doesn't happen. And we haven't quite finalized anything, but I think we will say, as it looks increasingly unlikely that Gen Con will happen, we will be doing something in the virtual space if Gen Con doesn't happen. So
the answer is a very vague but firm yes.
Exactly. Yeah. We will not leave you high and dry. You can still leave that general space on that calendar filled and dedicated to Arkham, because we will try to do something cool. Nothing will make up for Gen Con, of course, but we'll do something.
We'll do Gen couldn't.
Yeah,
Gen
exactly.
Can't. Yeah.
Everyone will be Gen Can't this year.
Excellent. So let's move on to what news we have. I know it's a little slow nowadays, but oh wait, that would be Nick. So hey,
Nick's not here.
So I don't think we actually have any news proper, but we do have a couple of future-looking things. So there's going to be the Innsmouth conspiracy announcement, currently slated for April 30th on FFG Live's Twitch channel. So looking at that. And then as well, we were contacted by, FFG Marketing let us know that there's going to be a special print and play content that they've been working on in the quarantine. Actually, I don't know if it has anything to do with the quarantine, but it's being released during Quarantine Con, and that's going to get announced on May 5th, so pay special attention for that. I'm very excited to see what that's going to look like. More
to buy a printer.
Yeah, refill your ink.
I think, depending on what this is, God, I have no idea what it is, but if it involves cards, I might get them professionally printed.
Sure.
From.
That's always an option.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what it is, but we do know that it's free, it's print and play, and what was the third bullet point?
Free.
It's not fish tokens.
Oh,
well,
maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it's print and play fish tokens.
It's not Fish'em horror.
Yeah.
Aqua horror.
Oh.
I tried. All right.
Aqua horror.
Scott, any rules?
Nope.
Thanks, Ollie. So then, let's dive into our main topic for the night. We're going to talk everything that there is to talk about tonight on the starter decks that are coming out. At least what we know and what we hope to do. So, we're going to be focusing on the cards that were in the announcement article, but there were a few more cards that got spoiled in the stream, so definitely go check those out if you feel like you want to enhance your knowledge. But first, I suppose, let's start with Nathan, or Nathaniel, if you prefer. So, Scott, would you care to read Nathaniel Cho?
Absolutely. Nathaniel Cho is a guardian. He is the boxer. 3 willpower, 2 intellect, 5 combat, and 2 agility. He's criminal and warden traded, and he has a reaction when you deal damage to an enemy by an event or fight ability on an event card. Deal 1 additional damage, limit once per phase, not turn or round, thank God. Although, I'm not sure how much that's going to play in. Anyway, Elder Sign effect is +1. If the skill test is successful during an attack, return an event from your discard pile to your hand. And he has 9 health and 6 sanity, so he's up at 15. I believe all of them are at 15 health or 15 total stats in that sense.
Because their deck building hasn't been actually revealed, but based on the...
Nathan has.
Oh, Nathan has. Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
I was about to say, based on the language in the article, they made it sound like all of these investigators are pure class.
Actually, every single one of their deck building has been released. And yes, it is 0 to 5, whatever class they are, 0 to 5 neutral.
And that's it.
I've never been happier to be wrong/right.
Which makes sense that, like, for starter decks, it's gonna be very simple. Like, if it's blue, you can put it in, and if it's neutral, you can put it in. Otherwise, you can't. So
Yeah. Well, and they mentioned too on stream that their signature cards are the class of whatever the investigator are. So it's even more so. And Matt said on there, and I think it was a listener that asked the questions, like, this is for the newer players, right? It just makes sense that this is not a neutral card. It's a class card. But it makes it really interesting because stuff like for Stella, Resourceful can grab back her SIGs, right? Because they'll be survivor cards.
right, because usually the SIGs are like that weird color.
Neutral,
Yeah.
null
They're
level.
neutral.
Right.
Yep.
Do you guys think it's, and this is a complete aside, and maybe not a rabbit hole we want to completely go down, so feel free to trip me and redirect me if possible. But do you think it was a misstep not to just have signatures be the matching class for the investigator from the start?
I think having them be neutral and having them be null level, so it's not like scrounge for supplies can't get them, allows them to be stronger than normal. Because I think if they all were class and leveled and stuff like that, there'd be too much interaction with just other cards in the card pool that I think they'd be restricted on the design. So they couldn't make them as cool. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think that's my view on it.
Yeah, I'm also wondering if there was a templating thing that they wanted to make it easy for players to quickly see, like, these are signatures and they're not regular cards.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. I don't have strong feelings. That was just something I was ruminating on. All right. Well, anyway.
So Cho.
So Nathan, yeah.
I don't think we've gotten any of his signatures spoiled, if I'm right. Although one of the cards is kind of like a signature for him.
Yeah, the boxing gloves.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, it's like...
I always forget that's not his signature because...
Yeah.
I have a feeling we're going to say that a lot about some of the cards that come in these starter decks. They just feel tailor-made for this investigator.
Yeah, but before we look at the cards, just thinking about Nathaniel himself, I think he looks pretty good, and I'm pretty excited to deck build with him because Guardians I have some Guardians that I like more than others, but they all tend to, just by the nature of the class, be... I don't want to say simplistic in deck building, but simplistic in deck building because you're just focused on...
Streamlined.
Yeah, we're going to throw stuff in that kills people. And like, Cho's doing something similar, right? You're still throwing in stuff, but I think just because of that's going to deal damage, but just by the nature of his ability... that you're going to be thinking carefully about, like, what events to include. I think it just adds some interest that I wouldn't be surprised if Nathaniel becomes one of my favorite Guardians.
Breathe some life back into Mano a Mano. Because now it does 2 damage.
They've done it. They've made it playable. Let's go home. Wrap it up.
I mean, we laugh, but that's one of my favorite things is when a card that I've completely panned all of a sudden is a card I'm playing, and it's like, what happened? Okay, all right, I like it. It's fine.
Yeah, like Barricade with Luke. You're like, what is this card?
Or like Knife with Yorick. It's like, oh my god, we found Johnny Knife.
Yeah. I think he looks super cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
His stat line is super solid. Like, he's near Mark levels, and Mark, as we all know, is a goddamn sexual Tyrannosaurus.
Mm-hmm.
What's he different from Mark? Because Mark has 3 willpower, doesn't he?
Mark has 3 agility, but 1 less sanity. So it all goes somewhere. I do. He has a very Zoe-like elder sign, though, doesn't he? It's gonna be once in a blue moon where that actually does something.
Yeah, and that's the unfortunate part. It's like if the skill test is successful during an attack. Now, that being said, I think most of your skill tests are going to be attacks. So,
I think he has one up on Zoe in that, like, with Zoe you can't count on the extra damage, so you're probably doing enough damage to kill the thing anyway.
Right, you might overkill, then it's a waste. Yeah.
Whereas with this one, at least you'll always be fine to get an event back.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Especially it'll be key for this deck. I think one of the things that struck me at first, I was like, okay, it's limit once per phase. That's kind of like too limiting. How am I going to get damage? And then I'm like, oh yeah, he could just use a regular guardian weapon. Like he could still do guardian things. It's just he has this on top of it. Although once we get to boxing gloves, there's a little wrinkle there when it comes to hand slots.
A slight hitch.
Yeah.
He's bringing back Bandolier.
Just making everything cool again. Or
Yeah.
cool
Perhaps
for the
a
first time.
self-counter to that strategy. Counterpunch is a level 0 Guardian event. It costs 0. It has a combat and agility icons. It has spirit and tactic traits. Fast. Play after an enemy attacks you, even if that attack was cancelled. Fight. This I swear I'm not drunk yet, guys. Fight. This attack targets the attacking enemy. So it is literally get attacked, fast, 0 cost, attack back.
Yeah, it's great for Cho, because usually it'd be 1 damage, but he's bumping that up to 2 damage. So what you want?
Toss in and viscous blow, and you're up to 3, possibly more if you're upgraded.
Yeah, and it's fast and 0 cost. Like, what do you want out of a card? Like, it's doing everything that Nathaniel wants. It's not asking very much.
Seems pretty good. And I can think of a fair few other Guardians where I'd play this. It's a free fight action. It's just one of those cards where it's like, okay, is this an action that I will want to do? It's free, so I probably want this.
It's getting you that final ping on like a 3 health enemy if it's left over in the enemy phase, or and I think one of the things that's funny about the Nathaniel pack is because this is also the Calvin pack, because a lot of these events are spirit traded, which Calvin can take as well.
Though it's worth saying that this is its own fight action, so if you want a damage bonus, you got to bring it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
Which Nathan does.
He sure does.
Yeah, one thing too about a lot of these, a lot of the cards that they spoiled for Nathan is a lot of them, or near all of them, are spirit traded. And so like Calvin just got a huge boost to a lot of combat stuff.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
Calvin can take a lot of blue now.
Yes, he can. Can he take something from every? I'm sure he can take something from every class now. There's got to be spirit in every class. You can have a rainbow
Is there
Calvin
any spirit
deck.
in Rogue? I don't know if there's any spirit in
Rogue has no spirit.
I should know this because I've been playing a lot of Calvin lately. I think it's mostly Guardian. And
Guardian, there's a couple in Mystic.
Oh, I'm out of here.
That's
I'm out of here.
That's spirit.
Yep, somehow.
Cool. Calvin can take the alright, I'm about to lose, I'm gonna fuck off now card.
the
Seems
card
like-
that goes against most ways to play Calvin.
Okay, so next one, Ian, you want to... Or wait, where are we? Scott, you want to read 1-2 Punch?
1-2 Punch is a 2-cost Guardian event. It has a combat icon. It is spirit and tactic traded. Hey, so Mark can take it. Fight. You get +1 attack, or +1 combat for this attack. If you succeed, you may fight that enemy again. You get +2 combat and deal +1 damage for that attack.
Yeah.
Super
good.
solid.
Yeah.
Super solid. Does Guardian at this point have any way to reduce the cost of events? I was trying to think, and nothing's coming to mind.
Events?
I don't think so.
Okay,
Not off the top of my head.
sure.
They have the asset playing thing. Not prepared for the worst. The other one,
Ever Vigilant.
Ever Vigilant.
Oh, that is such a good card. We
Yes,
should
it
do
is.
an AV club on Ever Vigilant and how great it is.
This
do it.
is
Yeah.
obviously this is good for Nathan, where you're with this ability doing like, let's say 4 damage from this. So 1 from the first, or 2 from the first, and then 2. But I think even for, right? Because it's +1 damage from his ability. and
Whenever you deal damage to an enemy by an event or a fight ability
fight
on the
ability
event,
on an
deal
event.
1 additional damage limit once. I think that's just once. So you could choose which of those 2 fight actions it goes on, but it wouldn't be like 2 hits for 2 damage each. It'd be 1 hit for 2, 1 hit for 1. Because there was a question about dynamite. If he dynamites a location, one enemy would get 4 and the rest gets 3.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wait, so how much? Okay, so he's doing the first attack, which is 1 damage.
Because the one enemy is the one that actually gets hit with the stick of dynamite before it blows up.
Yeah. Dook, just on the top of the noggin. Hey, just boop.
Okay, so the first attack is doing 1 damage. The second attack is doing 2 damage.
Oh,
but then
yes, sorry.
But then you would also pile Nathan's on, so 4 total if you hit both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, I forgot about the +1 damage on the second attack.
Right.
Yes, it does 4 damage with Nathan's bonus.
Which is great. Even for a regular investigator, that's like 3 potentially for 1 fight action.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I want to take it in every Guardian deck, but...
Yeah, like this would be good in Mark. I was kind of joking about the tactic thing, but honestly, it's a quick little... Now, the only thing is if you're going against like the Brotherhood, it'd be 2 attacks.
Oh, yeah.
And then their 2 would go up. Yeah.
Anything that keys
Brotherhood
off of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, there is increasing value for anything that can get you 3 damage in, 1 effective action. Even if there are some little situations where 2 fight is bad. Yeah. And there are, we'll get to it in a second, but boxing gloves. Ian, you want to read that one?
Okay, boxing gloves, 3 cost asset, level 0, combat icon, item and weapon traded. You get +1 combat while fighting. Reaction, after you defeat an enemy, exhaust boxing gloves, search the top 6 cards of your deck for a spirit event, and add it to your hand. Now we know they're all spirit traded. Shuffle your deck, and it takes up 2 hand icons. So that was the little wrinkle in the plan that I was talking about as far as using another Guardian weapon.
You just gotta bring Bandolier so you can hold your machine gun with your boxing gloves. That's what you gotta do.
Like, here's the question: do we think there's gonna be enough events to? Well, you're still limited to 1 extra damage per phase. Like, do you see a world where you run boxing gloves only in Nathan and have enough damage output still, or are you gonna have to embrace the Bandolier life?
Oh man, well, it's hard to say, right? Because
like
I feel like his deck, like they said on stream about 80% of the cards are new. So I assume because this is, made for newer players, he's just going to be chocked full of events that do damage. So like evaluating these, God, it's tough right now because we don't see the rest of the deck. But yeah, every time you defeat an enemy, essentially draw a card.
There are a fair few spirit cards already.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is, assuming he has a 30 card deck, right?
Yeah, they all do.
Yeah. So, only? I don't think only. I don't think you run this only ever. In a 30 card deck, even if you mulligan hard for it, there are, like, just by the hypergeometric, so many games where you won't see it, and that's going to be a problem. But I do think, like, 1 other weapon and you're probably fine. There are a fair few spirit events that this can grab already. So, yeah, I guess it kind of depends on what else is out there.
Yeah.
If he has any event recursion, let's go with that. If he has like event recursion and you can kind of keep the train rolling that way somehow.
You mean like Zelda side?
Well, yeah,
but it's not as
okay. Reliable.
You can't control
reliable.
it. Yeah,
I'll count that with an asterisk. That'll be in the footnote.
That's fair.
He might be worth like a versatile scrounge for supplies.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
I mean that you're adding 4.
That's a tough one.
You're adding 4 other cards just to get a scratch for supplies, just to get 1 card 1 time back.
That's apparently a chin scratcher.
Yeah.
I feel like just the way that I build decks and wanting backup plans, I feel like I'd always go Bandolier boxing gloves.
I don't know. I feel like I'm going to lean hard into events and just play Nathan the way... Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. Is like that's his ability. So why not have fun with it? You could do the power gamer thing of, well, what's the maximized way to make sure I like? But yeah, at the end of the day, you're playing him because you want to have fun with that ability. So just go for it.
Well, I think he's going to be really fun and good. But if I want to do like a bandolier thing, I'd probably just go with Mark. You know what I mean? Like, so, yeah, I don't know. I think Nathan's going to be different enough from Mark that I think you can't just take a Mark deck and put it into a Nathan shell. I think you're going to be very different.
I do like Bandolier level 2 for him just because of like the willpower boost.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Oh, then if you have Bandolier level 2, you could put on 2 sets of boxing gloves.
And just become Goro from Mortal Kombat.
Well, and then each of them have the bonus, which you get +1 while fighting, so like you essentially be at +2. And if you pop an enemy, you get to search your deck twice.
Well, I think we cracked it, guys.
There we go. Nathan OP.
Oh, man.
4
think
XP final build.
We've got the Shiva Nathan build where he's just the god of destruction.
Shiva Nathan build. Yes. All right, that's what we're going
Many
with.
arms.
Shiva Nathan. Yeah.
Do you think anyone else takes boxing gloves other than Nathan?
It's a big ask for 2 hand slots. That's a really big ask.
It is.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who's going to be as reliable. Anyone who's going to be as relying on events as much as he is. And so I don't think right now we'd have anyone with boxing gloves. Although I do know that Brian from rightofseeking.com, Right of Seeking blog, it's fantastic. Go read it. He made a boxing Pete deck. So,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that would work with Duke's ability, wouldn't it? Like,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
And then when you defeat an enemy, you get to go find spirit cards and
Yeah. I think that's a thing. If you can have an investigator that's an alternate source of damage that doesn't take up a hand slot, then you're golden. then I can see it working.
What if you put this in like one of the Dunwich, like let's say Jim, and he's using like spells to kill things, and then you just use this to exhaust.
To grab stuff.
It's this wizard wearing.
How is he going to play a trumpet
gloves?
with boxing gloves?
Yeah. Ellie holds the trumpet, and he just goes into
there you go.
Oh. Okay, Sean, read Lesson Learned, because
Yeah.
this is one of my
Before we go
favorite cards.
too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So Lesson Learned is a level 2 Guardian event. It costs 1. It has 1 willpower and 2 intellect icons. It has insight and spirit traits. This could go in the Hunch deck. Fast. Play after you take damage from an enemy attack. Discover 2 clues at your location.
Okay, so this is amazing.
Scott,
Also, yes.
in Arkham Horror, do you occasionally get attacked by enemies?
Once or twice.
In such a case, would you also like to discover clues at your location without a test?
So
2 of them even?
Fast, no actions.
Yeah. Like, immediately I was like, oh yeah, in the enemy phase, you want to make sure you line up on the thing. But I was like, you know what? No. Sometimes as Calvin, especially early on, you want to take a few hits, right? To get your stats up. So you engage an enemy, and then you just, I don't know, do something else, like draw a card. So they hit you, bumps up your stats, you play this, grab 2 clues off your location for doing something you already wanted to do.
Yeah, I love this as a Calvin card.
I was about to say, like, the more we talk, the more I think, like, all of these starter decks are literally just to boost Calvin.
Yeah. Oh man. And this is just great in general. Like, I can see this. Like, I mean, a lot of people run, if you're playing like a Flexi Zoe kind of thing, people are running Drawn to the Flame with her Dunwich Splash. But this, upgrade your Drawn to the Flame into this, and now you have some more Dunwich Splash room. Because you're gonna get hit by enemies, right? Like, it's just, yeah. This is like your copies 3 and 4 of Scene of the Crime.
And great icons if you don't find yourself in a situation where this is useful. And again, Joe can take it in the Insight deck, though. I don't know that you do, but you could.
Yeah, I probably would not in this one.
Yeah, because you'd want to have it in hand so you can trigger it when that situation occurs.
You know where this would be really good? If you're playing Circle Undone and you grabbed Gabriella as your campaign ally. Take an attack, discover 3 clues.
Oh, yeah. And even, I guess you wouldn't have the XP in Witching Hour. Never mind. Because I'll say walk into that witching, like the witch's circle.
Oh,
just take a bunch of hits. Just clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The one downside is that there are enemies that only deal horror. They exist.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to be disappointed in that case.
Yeah. So, whippoorwills cannot help you find clues. Damn whippoorwills.
Guys, I must profess my love for this next card. So Harvey Walters.
Oh, because he's a professor.
That's the one.
Okay.
That's the one. That's the joke
Gotcha.
I was making. So he's the professor. He's our Seeker starter deck ally. He's got 4 willpower, 5 intellect, juicy, 1 combat, and 2 agility. He's Miskatonic traded. In reaction, after an investigator at your location draws 1 or more cards from the deck during the investigation phase, that investigator draws 1 card, limit once per round. Elder Sign effect +1, draw a card. He has 7 health and 8 sanity. My God, what a stat spread.
Yeah, that is... I mean, it's the same as Norman, except his agility and combat are swapped, right? But his health and sanity is much better.
And he has the added advantage that he can actually upgrade his yellow cards.
Yes, that's
Sure.
that's an advantage, yep.
So if you haven't already, go check out our Look What I Found. Pause this episode right now and go check it out. We previewed 2 cards from the Harvey Walters deck that are really fun and play around with his ability and traits to great effect, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But just Harvey by himself, like divorced of any other cards, you could put... it's so good. Guys, it turns out that in a card game, drawing cards is probably the most powerful ability, except for gaining actions.
Now, it does need to be in the investigation phase, so it's not like
That's
you can
true.
use this during the refresh, which... That would be, I think, bonkers.
That would be bonkers. Just two cards every refresh phase.
But, I mean, there's so many draw effects in Seekers.
Seeker, yeah, there's a ton.
I mean, your prep sketches are now 4 cards instead of 3. Your cryptic research is 4 instead of 3. Like, fast draw 4 cards. Seems okay, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it becomes even better in like 3 or 4 player games because it can be another investigator who maybe they have card draw in their deck and then they're drawing more cards. So I feel like if you're playing multiplayer, you're always happy to see someone whip out Harvey.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
Take
He's
advantage
gonna
of that.
he's going to be just fine solo, but I feel like this is most valuable in multiplayer because if you're building a deck kind of around card draw, chances are you're going to get to max hand size fairly quickly, if not really quickly. But the ability to toss this at other people and improve their game after you've gotten there is really good.
So we did get his signature, Vault of Knowledge. I'll just read it out because, Sean, you mentioned hand size. It's a 3-cost Seeker asset, as we talked about. Has a willpower, an agility, and a wild icon. Talent traded, Harvey Walters deck only. Your maximum hand size is increased by 2. And reaction. After you successfully investigate, exhaust Vault of Knowledge and choose an investigator at your location. That investigator draws a card.
Seems good.
But it'll actually be 2 cards.
Yeah.
So when Harvey investigates and succeeds because he starts off at 5.
As he is wont to do.
Which will happen
draw
every
2
single
cards.
turn.
Yeah. I'm going to pick up this clue. And also 2 cards off the top of my deck. Also, my back's hand size is increased.
And you get a card. And you get a card.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is really like starter deck design at its finest because I feel like you can give this deck to the newest player and make them feel like they are contributing greatly to the group.
Yeah.
I'm helping.
Doing their 25%. Yep.
So we're talking about big hand Harvey.
Yes.
Like just this will always be in his deck. You're probably going to throw down a laboratory assistant. Like that's 12 cards right there. Just 12 card max. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, and you add in, goodness, what is it? The dream enhancing serum, where, all right, only one copy of a card counts towards your hand limit, and
Oh my god.
When you draw one that
starts-
you already have in your hand, draw a card. Except draw 2 cards.
because Harvey, or if you have 2 dream enhancing serums out, you now draw 3 cards.
Oof.
Oh my god. I don't think a 30 card deck is enough.
I know. You can have like 2/3 of your deck in your hand.
I was about to say, good thing for that 8 sanity, because he will draw through. Like, this is...
Yeah.
You know, we have a few investigators who will pretty reliably draw through their deck 1 or 2 times in a game, but Harvey's going to do that a lot.
Ian, why don't you read Saleno
Sure.
fragments?
The
Sure.
cilantro fragments.
Cilantro fragments, yeah.
Cilantro fragments.
Tastes
This is
soapy.
the Book of Books, which is a big statement in Arkham Horror. 1 cost asset, level 0, intellect icon, item and tome traded for those who care about tomes. While you have 5 or more cards in hand, you get +1 intellect. 10 or more cards in hand, you get +1 will. 15 or more cards in hand, you get +1 intellect. And it takes up the hand slot. So speaking of big hand...
So if you got to 15 cards, which seems insane, but I know I've been at like 13 or 14 with Mandy.
I think
already,
Harvey
like,
can
just-
do it, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's got that. You're going to be at 5 willpower, 7 intellect. Check this out.
That's ridiculous.
7 intellect. And imagine
7.
if you had a Hawkeye folding camera in the other hand. You're now 6 willpower, 8 intellect. 8.
That
Like,
That's too much.
He's got a
That's
big
too
brain.
much intellect.
is it?
This is
Like,
Mega
just
Mind.
means, like, are you ever... The only thing that's going to make you fail an investigation for the rest of the game is the tentacle, right? Like, maybe on a 5-shroud location you'll commit an icon just so you're 4 up still. But, I mean, I can see why this is unique, because having 2 of these out would just be bonkers.
This just seems like a much more reasonable... I know it's a really bad comparison, but it seems like a much more reasonable version of higher education. That's kind of doing a similar thing, but it's actually balanced.
Sure. Yeah.
Because it takes up a slot, and you have to find it,
Uh-huh.
and it requires you to... Yeah,
And it requires you to maintain a game state that's not just, like, super easy.
yeah. Well, I don't know.
Well, I haven't played Harvey yet. Who knows?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, this card's so good. I see this as a... I hope there's like 5 copies of this in the pack, because I can see this going in... Like, just a one of in Mandy. You know, man.
Daisy might take this. Like,
Yeah,
I've been playing around with Big Hand Daisy. Like the
Like-
Daisy I'm playing in TNA plays Lab Assistant, and I almost always have like 8 cards in my hand.
Yeah, so you're gonna get that. It's a 1 cost for 1 intellect, and sometimes you'll
That's the
you'll
thing.
up
It's
over
just
that.
so cheap. It's so cheap.
Yeah, and then maybe you'll finally play the tote bag.
Let's not get crazy now.
It could
Okay.
happen. Maybe.
Okay. So next card is level 2, Mind Over Matter. Oh god, Mind Over Matter remains one of my favorite cards, so I'm so glad this got an upgrade, and it's exciting. So it's 1 cost still. It has 1 combat, 1 agility, and 1 wild icon. It has the insight trait, fast play during your turn. Until the end of the round, add your intellect to your combat and agility. Draw 1 card.
Draw
So
2
this
cards
Oh, well, you know.
with Harvey. Yeah.
All right, calm down, Harvey. Really good. Adding is always better than replacing.
Sure.
Well,
so-
okay, and
so
here's the
argument-
one hitch, though. Yep, no,
Yep.
and this is exactly where I was going to go with the 2, Scott, is that chances are if you're running Seeker, you've got a lot more intellect icons to commit.
Very true. Yeah.
So now you can't do it with this Mind Over Matter.
Yeah, because you are actually testing your combat and agility as opposed to your intellect.
Right.
So, I don't know that everyone bothers to upgrade into this, even if they're running level 0 Mind Over Matter, but, you know, for most people who are, this is basically like a +2 to that stat for most people.
Yeah, and I think... I mean, even in Harvey, like, if you're adding your intellect, which is probably going to be 6 or 7, right? To your combat agility. Do you really need to commit that many icons afterwards? Probably not, right? Like it's a pretty minor downside, I'd say, for the fact that you then draw a card. And
it's a cantrip. It's a fast cantrip.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the draw one card is actually the spice here, the thing that's going to bring you to it.
Yeah, and with Harvey,
my card
that's
draw
2
brings
cards.
all the boys to the yard.
They're like, ding. It's more efficient than yours.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah. This one doesn't blow me away by any means, but it's just it's a really good, solid upgrade that exists. You know, like the card that does blow me away is the Necronomicon. Petrus de Dacia translation. I'm butchering that. 3 cost, 5 experience asset seeker, but it also has 5 intellect icons. It's not unique. Oh, limit 1 per deck though. Item and tome traded uses 6 secrets, limit 1 per deck, and it has 4 fast trigger lightning bolt things. What's the proper term for that?
Free trigger, free action,
free trigger.
I think.
I always just call it like fast action, but I know
there
are people who probably balk at that.
Yeah. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about, the lightning bolt fast action thing. Spend 1 secret, you get +2 skill for this test. Spend 2 secrets, draw 2 cards, 3 with Harvey. Spend 3 secrets, discover 1 clue at any location. That's bonkers. Spend 4 secrets, deal 3 damage to an enemy engaged with you. Takes up a hand slot.
I think Truth from Fiction finally found its home.
Yeah.
Yeah. The secret tech.
Yeah. Hey, what about Knowledge is Power, too? You could just get a free... And you don't have to pay the cost.
Does Knowledge Power require an actual... Hang on.
Yeah, what is the...
I have my Norman deck set up right over here, guys. Let me check Knowledge Power. Oh, God, it's in the deck. I don't want to dig.
You can resolve a free trigger ability on that asset, ignoring all costs.
So you could do the 4 secrets one.
Yeah.
With Knowledge is Power for free.
Hey guys, remember when I said Knowledge is Power is amazing?
Yeah, that is a card that I have slowly been growing to absolutely love. That card is bonkers good.
It's
bonkers.
Just another one of those things where it's like, hey, is this the kind of action I'll want to take? Oh, it's fast and free? Great!
Like, it's essentially, if you're fighting with Shriveling, it gives you another action that turn, right? Because it's fast. Like, it's bonkers. This Necronomicon is pretty good. The spend 3 secrets, discover a clue at any location. That's pretty crazy. Like, it's like an intel report, but you just
anywhere on the board.
Yeah. Spend 2 secrets, draw 2 cards. All right. Spend 1 secret, get +2 skill for this test. That's not bad either. And you have 6 secrets. That's quite a bit. This would essentially give you an unexpected courage 6 times.
Yeah. It's all about the versatility with this one, right? The fact that you have 4 different options that can kind of get you out of a variety of situations.
Bonkers good. Although that's a lot of experience. 5 XP. Whew.
And limit 1 per deck. So you're gonna want to get some tome fetching in there, which there's options there, including
it exists.
Yeah.
Or you just draw till you find it.
Yeah, draw. Yeah, that's true.
Which turns out Harvey is good at doing, as we've mentioned 8 times in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So
6 secrets for some of these ones that cost like 3 or 4 secrets is you could potentially go through them really quickly.
You could. I mean, you could get a total of 2 activations out of it. But I think that, like, if you are planning on packing this, you bring Knowledge is Power.
No,
because
definitely.
Like, it just
Like, you don't even have to have played this if you have Knowledge is Power. God, that's a good card.
Harvey seems really fun. I think I'm not sure if I'm most excited for him or Winnie, who we're talking about next, but it's between those two for playing. Because the fact that there's a card in here that hints at having 15 cards in hand just makes me want to build a deck that gets 15 cards in hand.
Yeah. It's a challenge that's been laid down.
Challenge accepted.
Now, is there someone who can take Necronomicon and Vermes?
Is Vermes level 2?
Yeah,
Daisy?
level... Because then you can Vermes the Knowledge is Power, right? That's insight
to
traded?
Necronomicon again?
Yep.
Yeah.
to get 4 uses of Knowledge's power out of the Necronomicon. Interesting.
Yep. Oh, I bet there's gonna be a pretty fun like Moonlight Ritual, Vermes, Big Tome Daisy deck that's gonna come out.
Mm-hmm.
I
Finally a Tome Daisy deck.
She's been waiting.
Yeah.
You'll still never enjoy playing the tote bag, though. Sorry, guys. I hate to break it to
I don't know.
one day.
you. You're a liar, and you know it.
I definitely think Harvey is going to be powerful. I honestly not sure how excited I am to play with him though, because he seems so vanilla compared to like say Mandy is someone I really enjoy playing with as Seeker. But I think that's just some of my natural. I think I've admitted before, Seeker's the class I kind of least enjoy playing. So, and Harvey is like the consummate Seeker.
Yeah, he's pretty meat and potatoes.
Casey just brings up in chat, and I need to mention this because this is bonkers. So Rex can do this and Mandy can do this, but sleight of hand, the Necronomicon can play. Spend all the stuff, bring it back to hand. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I love that so much.
Ooh, boy.
Mm-hmm.
What's the safe word? I forgot it.
Yeah, so that seems fun. Seems like a good idea.
And then you scrounge for supplies to sleight of hand.
Oh, stop it! My heart.
No, I'm not stopping.
That's a Lola combo, though.
Yeah, that's a Lola combo.
Well, no,
believe.
you could do that in Rex.
Yeah, Dunwich
Oh,
Splash.
yeah, Rex. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Oh shit! All right, well, I guess we better start thinking about putting Rex on the taboo list then.
Rex
I
is just
know
gonna
what I'm
lose
building.
He's going to lose his Dunwich Splash. That's his next taboo. All right. Ian, why don't you read Winifred?
Oh, I would love to.
Possibly the best.
I would really love to. Okay, Winifred Habamok is the Aviatrix. I love that subtitle. 1 willpower. Yeah, baby. There we go. 3 intellect.
Yeah,
3
right home.
Yes, I feel comfortable here. This is my place. 3 intellect, 3 combat, 5 agility. Our first 5 agility rogue. Criminal traded. Free trigger. If 2 different non-weakness cards you control are committed to the skill test, draw 1 card. Limit once per test. Elder Sign effect +1. After this test ends, for every 2 points you succeeded by, return a card you committed to this test to your hand. And that is 8 health and 7 sanity to round her out.
Point of interest, Aviatrix was the name of my glam punk band in high school.
Did you wear similar clothes to her art?
I still have the goggles.
Okay. Ian, the first thing I thought of when I saw this card was, wow, 2 dump stats. Agility and willpower there.
Quiet you.
You know what else I thought about, though, was the time when we were talking about City of Archives, and you were talking about how hard it was for you, and then you realized that you could double the icons in the card once per test, not once per turn.
Yeah, that was a big moment for me.
So when I read this, I was like, oh my god, it's the same thing. I better make sure he knows.
Oh man, I was playing on hard mode. But yeah, that's actually very key for Winifred, that once per test, you can just keep doing it each test. It's not like the limit once per phase, which would have kind of limited her power ceiling quite a bit, I think.
Yeah.
So I love her art, but at like a quick glance, does it look like she has a 6th finger? Like that fold in the leather looks like a little pinky off to the side saying. There.
Yeah.
No, I don't see it.
Why you gotta take this from me?
Sorry. I love the art also.
Yeah, the art's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure. And before we go any further, someone pointed out in chat that Scrounge is fortune traded, so Rex can't take it, and my dreams are
why are you gonna take this from me?
I know! I was already building the deck in my head.
Damn it, Casey.
I know. Dream
Just-
shattered. So we almost had it. We were so close.
Okay, who can versatile for Scrounge? No.
Literally everyone.
I do, yeah, but also sleight of hand. Anyways.
So for
Anyways, Winifred.
Winnie, I have not tried her yet, but my hunch is that she's going to have a crazy amount of card draw going on. Because I think...
You don't say.
You don't say. I think you can... Because you look at it and say, okay, I got to commit 2 and I'm getting 1 card back. But I think with just the various tools you have available in Rogue, and that are probably in this pack, you're going to be able to commit quite a few cards to the test. Draw a bunch. If you're taking 3 tests a turn, which happens often, you're drawing 3 cards. Like, she's gonna be tearing through her deck at a fast pace, I think.
Yeah.
Once per test?
Once per test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, especially if you're loading up on the cantrip skills where you're drawing a card anyway. Like, you throw a cantrip skill.
Exactly. Yeah.
And another card in. You're drawing 2 cards off of it. You probably are playing Lucky Cigarette Case because you're going to just be hitting big tests. If you're drawing another card off of that, she is just going to she's going to churn through her deck.
So the cool thing about Winnie, I think, as well, is we got all her signatures and her weaknesses as well. So people have already, you can play Winnie right now if you're okay with proxying. And I've been tempted. I'm holding off on it, but a lot of the cards she got, thank you, she got spoiled for her are very much leaning that succeed by 2 build, which has been around, right? And I have I consider quite successful Finn deck with it. I call it my succeed by 9 Finn, because the whole idea is every test I do, I'm just succeeding by a lot, right?
Except for willpower.
Right. It's just those are the ones you just tank, and my goodness, the part of that is also making sure you commit stuff, and just her ability to and Rogue has such amazing skills.
Yeah.
That's the thing, rogues. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the thing is, like you said, the succeed by 2 has been around, and she's in some of these cards, it's even succeed by even more than that. But if you think about that, you're committing at least 2 cards to a lot of your tests, you're going up by a lot. So you're probably going to trigger... And that's always been the kind of sub-theme of Rogue that's about, being a daredevil and taking risks, and that's what this character is all about. So I like... The design of this is perfect that it's enabling that. And also, I know you joked about the dumb stat, Scott, and we always fight about agility. Dumb scat!
Oh, boy.
That was the name of my garage growth band in high school.
I wonder how many of my fumbling words have turned into episode titles at this point. Dumb scat. The dumb scat of agility, and we always argue about whether it is a dumb stat, but for her, even if you think it is normally, it's not, because if you think of something like momentum, I commit momentum to an agility test, and then that's turning whatever test I do next into probably a 0, almost an auto succeed. And there's also some of the cards that were spoiled that are using agility to do stuff, which is helpful.
Yeah. What was the one that... Was it us that spoiled it? Where she's looking down the barrel of a gun? God, I saw it out there.
I've definitely seen it. I can't not remember the title.
But it's level 2 or level 3, and it's
No, that's a different thing.
Or marksman? Or something. It's something like that, right? And you basically use your agility instead of your combat or something.
I'm gonna go look.
Okay.
Keep talking.
But yeah, I totally agree. And as we've seen from Rita, having a 5 in agility is really quite good, as long as you are able to really leverage it. And I think the card pool, especially rogues and stuff, are at a point where they can. I think I'm actually more interested in Winifred than I am with Rita, because rogues have so much agility stuff, and I almost feel like Rita should have been 0 to 5 survivor, 0 to 2 rogue, because she has that trick access, but there's not that many tricks that you do want. There's so many rogue things that I wanted to put in Rita, but I couldn't. And Winifred, I can, and I'm so excited to utilize that. Once she gets lockpicks, she's investigating at 8. That's really good. If she's shooting the ornate bow, she's attacking at a 7.
Right.
It's just...
And we know how good Bo is in Rita, and it's going to be... Yeah. She definitely has definitely can be very flexy, I think. She can do a lot, and just because of how the nature of how she works, and that you can commit to all kinds of tasks. So I think this is going to be another investigator, too, where you kind of keep an eye on what icons you're including in your deck, depending on how you're trying to, which direction you're kind of trying to shape her towards.
Yeah. Her signature card is anything you can do better. Obviously referencing the anything you can do, I can do better.
Yeah.
It's a null level skill card. It has 6 wild icons.
It's pretty good.
It's innate and develop traded. Winifred's deck only. Commit only to a skill test you are performing. Just if you need to just absolutely destroy a test.
Yeah. This reminds me of one thing. I'm probably going to be playing a lot of Winnie in my future, and I really want whoever's, like, when I'm sitting down at a table, I really want to convince at least one person to play Min. Because since I'm going to be committing so many cards to test, that extra icon will be even sweeter.
Yeah. Now, imagine taking Winnie through City of Archives, and you double this, so you're at 12 wild icons. because reasons.
No, you can't, because you don't have her ability.
Yeah, and Rogue just has, like, you talked about the good skill, both at level 0, and they also have some of the most bomb, like, upgraded skills, things like all in and those.
Sean, would you like to read the Mauser?
I would love to read the Mauser. So the Mauser C96 is a level 0 4-cost rogue asset. It has an agility icon. It has item, weapon, firearm, and illicit traits. It uses 5 ammo. This is interesting. So action, exhaust the Mauser and spend an ammo. Fight. You get +1 combat and deal +1 damage for this attack. If you succeed by 2 or more, either ready the Mauser or gain 1 resource. Really cool spin, I guess, on like the 45. Like, you know how we always talk about like the 45 being the baseline vanilla meat and potatoes weapon. This is cool. It has an exhaust action. If you go rogue and go bombastic and succeed by 2 or more, you get to keep going. Yeah, it's got more ammo. You have some resource acceleration in there. You can get your money back essentially if you hit big tests on this every time.
This is seriously, I mean, it's fantastic because you either, and I'm taking this in like someone like Tony, where you're going to be attacking at 6 with this, so you'll probably boost a little bit, be at 7 or 8. Like succeeding by 2 is not going to be an issue. And if you just have one enemy to kill that turn, you just do it, and then you gain a resource. Or you just keep going, right?
Yeah.
The thing is exhausting is a thing, and
it is.
It will be a disappointment on occasion when you either draw the tentacle. First of all, like this will summon the tentacle. It's just gonna happen, or you just feel like you're okay and you draw the -4 or the -5 and all of a sudden you're without that second shot that you were hoping on.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's that cool balance of I do wish it costed like 1 less.
It is so rogue it hurts.
Yeah.
Right? Because of that, like it's like I'm gonna do this, and rogue is all about those big tests, big bombastic things going on, right?
Gamble on it, yeah.
Right, but when rogue falls flat, man, do they ever like smash their face into the pavement? You know what I mean?
Man, no one can step on a fucking rake like rogues.
Yeah, and I think that's just such a neat part of their class identity. Yeah, like the rake smack in rogue is just fantastic, but also like they're balancing that with amazing big actions, right? And so this card is just so rogue. I love it.
Nothing summons a tentacle faster than when you drop 3 resources on Watch This. Like, it's just like the summoner. Even if you're like 10 up, it doesn't matter. I love the design of the weapon. That I think it's one of the tricky things, and I think we saw this in the design of the core set and the early rogue weapons, was that, you know, they don't want to design the rogue weapons so that they are equal to or better than Guardian weapons, because they shouldn't be. Like, Guardians just should have the baseline best, at least, like, weapons and firearms. But I think this is a better, almost like second crack at a level 0 firearm. That it's balanced. It's not quite as consistently good because there's that risk factor. But you do have the option when you do succeed. You're going to succeed really well because you can get resources out of it, which something Guardian can't do. So yeah, I think just the design all around is just like perfect for what you want to see in a rogue weapon.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of resources and the Guardian weapons, the upgrade Thompson would like to talk to you. Anyways, it gets resources.
True. I forgot it. Yeah.
And Sean mentioned too, he wished it was like one cheaper maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? If you succeed by 2 one time, and you don't need to ready it, then it is right.
Right.
It's just it's the rogue way of getting a discount on a weapon.
Yeah.
I can respect that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is something that Winnie will use more than likely, but I think a lot of rogues will use this at level 0.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
This slides right into a Tony deck.
Oh yeah.
Like just yeah.
Honestly, I feel like all right, well, let's continue.
Mm-hmm.
let's go on a merry stroll on an idyllic hill and sing about the sound of music.
I also thought of the sound of music when I saw the art of this card.
Nimble. This is a card I wish Rita could take. Nimble is a rogue skill level 0, agility icon, innate traded. For each point this skill succeeds by, after it resolves, you may immediately move to a connecting location to a maximum of 3 times.
Silas can take innate, right? That's
Yes.
Silas's thing?
Correct.
So Silas could take this too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he could.
This is pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey guys, remember how good Shortcut is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is rogue shortcut, and it is so painfully rogue shortcut. Like, and in a good way. But it's almost like a this is gonna sound weird, a dulled down I'm out of here. Because you evade and you're like off to the resign location.
Yeah, the fact you can move up to 3, which is huge. And it's after it resolves, so if you evade, then you're evading and leaving them behind. So potentially better than something like Survival Instinct if you're moving like 2 or 3 locations away. And the other cool thing is it's not necessarily tied to evade. So if you do this on an agility test on a treachery, and you succeed, you're still getting that move. So that could potentially be something cool. Like agility treachery pops up and you take advantage to move and set yourself up for your turn.
3 locations is so far.
It's huge.
That's a lot of locations. That's like all the way across most maps.
That is a full turn of moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I feel
ridiculous.
like most of the time you won't want to move more than 1 or 2, but it's nice to have the option.
Yeah. Well, unless you went, Midnight Masks would be like a perfect example of a good place to play this with that. Who's the doctor that once you evade her, she's defeated?
Yeah.
And then let's say you just throw a bunch in the test, right? You're Winnie. Why not commit 2 cards, draw a card, all this stuff, and then you just blow it out of the water. You get that cultist down, and then you immediately are able to join up with your buddy who needs help across the map. Like, just not in the graveyard because she'll fail that test. But
and another good thing is compared to some of the other like teleportation style cards, usually they specify like you have to move to a revealed location. This is just moving to a connecting location, so this is a great trailblazing card of like, let me just zip forward and reveal like 3 locations.
yeah, this is really interesting too. That, I mean, you will engage enemies along the way as well, and you won't take the attacks of opportunity or the hits from moving because it's not an action. But this would be a
collect
really neat
them
way.
in your wake.
Yeah, like to
Kiting them
sweep.
away.
Yeah, like evade one guy, sweep up a hallway of enemies for your buddies, and then I'm out of here or something, right? Like, man, the manipulation you could do with this, or even move somewhere and then move back to grab an enemy, like engage them.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
there's lots of options
pop it
there.
to. Holy
I
moly!
mean, you could literally just clear a path, which is cool. And especially, like, you're playing Rogue, you're playing this, you're playing other agility icons. No one's going to be better at shaking those enemies off. Can you imagine, like, I know not a whole lot of people play it in the post-taboo world, but sweeping through 3 locations and gathering 3 enemies and then elusiving to fuck off to somewhere else.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Some guy, I don't know if he plays Arkham or not, I think it's Matt Newman in the chat, said on the lamb. So
I'm sorry, what?
you just on the lamb. It's this
which card?
It's this one
it's
card.
this
For
card
this
that
one
I don't play very
investigator.
often. I think I've played exactly once, and it's on video, so you can go see it. There's video evidence.
You actually playing on the lamb during our TNA is the only time I've seen anyone play on the lamb. And
Also,
it was wonderful.
It was the same game you actually played Daisy's tote bag. So
It's true.
you weren't using it to steer a boat. There's no boats around. Anyways,
I wasn't just using it as drag.
yeah, right. Like that. It's a very similar card to this, and now it's on the lamb for everyone, kind of ish.
This is just a
know.
really good level 0 rogue skill. A lot of rogues
Yeah.
and
God,
anyone
level
else who
0.
can take it are going to be taking this.
You know what else is a really good level 0 rogue skill is manual dexterity.
Wait.
But
Huh?
level 2 manual dexterity
That's-
is a rogue
yeah.
skill.
Whoa.
It has 3 agility icons. It's innate and developed. Max 1 committed per skill test. If this test is successful, draw 1 card. 2 cards instead if this succeeds by 2 or more. That is
2
really
cards.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
3 cards if you're Winnie.
I've seen
Or Harvey's
manual
around.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Combo.
I've seen manual dexterity so many times and played it in so many decks, but not until I've seen it with a green border have I thought to myself, like, oh man, I really want Trish in this game now.
Yeah, it does increase that hankering for sure.
Yeah, this is just good.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
For 2 XP, another icon, another card.
Yeah. I'll put this in my succeed by 9 fin. So
Yeah.
Definitely for Winnie, probably going to take this all the time. For other rogues, it's a class that's very XP hungry, so I'm not sure whether I'm always going to take this. But it's definitely a good call for certain builds.
God, though, if you have Lucky Cigarette Case out and you commit this and win by 2, you draw 3 cards.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And
That's
if you're
really
Winnie,
good.
you probably committed at least 2. So you're drawing 4 cards off the test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Winnie's gonna need some horror healing. 'Cause
And
she's
that's
gonna
how
put it right
Winnie
to the-
gets through
Say,
it.
like,
Yeah.
Winnie doesn't have enough sanity to deal with her own ability. So I think, I don't know, with 1 willpower, I think that's a valid statement.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna
Yeah.
be Winnie's downfall. That's the thing she needs to worry about is her horror. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
she doesn't,
Yeah.
because with Finn, I never really feel that pressured because he has access to stuff that can, like logical reasoning, or Peter Sylvester, that kind of easily guard against that. But she's hard locked into Rogue, so it'll take some thinking, I think.
Yeah. Sean, you want to read Copycat?
I sure would. So Copycat is a level 3 rogue skill. It has a wild icon and is gambit traded. After you commit Copycat to a skill test, search the discard pile of another investigator for a skill you can commit to this test and commit it. After this test ends, place that card on the bottom of its owner's deck. Okay.
I love that.
So I feel like
so
it's
many cards.
there's a lot of things you can do here.
Yeah, there's no way we can cover them all.
But notable is that this is an FFG employee art. I've seen this gentleman, though I don't know
I
his
was
name,
gonna say, like, this stuck out to me that I was pretty sure this is probably an
I've never
FFG
been properly
employee.
introduced, though I have seen his face around FFG parts.
Oh, Matt's typing. I think we're gonna find out.
I
right
bet
now.
we're gonna find out. It's Wade. We'll go with Wade. It's a rogue card that isn't selfish, that only works in multiplayer. That's notable.
Mm-hmm.
It recycles the card that you use instead of just like, I don't know. I always think about like Flare, like, hey, I'm just gonna steal your ally
Mhm.
for those kinds of effects.
This is borrowing and
Yes.
also giving back to you a couple weeks later because it goes to the bottom of your deck. Yeah.
And in Winnie, like you could put this in many, many places, but in Winnie, this goes down, another card goes down, you commit something else, and
yeah, this is
so,
insane.
Notable targets, though, probably worth mentioning.
Seal of the Elder Sign. Because that would just be bonkers.
Does Seal
Stroke
of the
of
Elder
Luck?
Sign remove itself from the game?
It does. You're right.
Yeah.
What about Stroke of Luck? Like if you're taking a big test that you absolutely can't fail, and your buddy's already chucked Stroke of Luck but hasn't exiled it,
Sure.
you could commit Stroke of Luck to make sure you have the auto pass.
Yeah.
Unless
That's pretty solid.
home front, like if you're playing with Mark, why not take his home front? And
Is anyone else?
Okay, so-
Nautical Prowess. You can steal that from Silas.
Yeah.
That's, of course,
Oh my
if
God.
if Silas is Silasing, it's in his hand. So
yeah. So okay, weird thing with the home front. If the skill test is if this skill test is successful during an attack, move 1 damage from Mark Harrigan to the attacked enemy. Like from across the map, this damage comes off Mark. I just imagine like 5 locations away, and just pops on the enemy.
Hey, fuck you.
Yeah.
I think even just those classic like Vicious Blow 2 or Deduction 2s are good targets for this. Just get stuff done.
Matt's saying in the chat too here, the art, his twin brother is the one in the mirror.
What? That's awesome.
That's like,
beyond awesome.
Hats off, FFG.
Is that true? That can't be true. Although, if I had a twin, that would be a pretty cool premise for the art of a card. So yeah, all right.
Yeah, he says 100% true. That's really cool. that is the best FFG employee art story.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so this is a bonkers card. 3 XP though. I mean,
It's
I
not
guess
nothing.
it's not nothing, but it's maybe you're now reusing higher XP skills too. So
And especially if like you're playing across from like a Min or a Silas, who like another investigator that kind of specializes in skills and committing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Seems good.
I think this one is in an interesting place because it's not one I would necessarily bring to standalone. This is more like I'm playing in a campaign with people I know what decks they're using and what skills they have.
terrible solo card. Terrible.
Agree.
Sure.
Agree.
The cool thing is too, this triggers Winnie, right? Like you commit copycat, you grab something else to commit, you draw a card.
Do you technically control the card as you commit it?
No.
Because that's her stipulation.
Right.
A non-weakness card you control.
I don't think it. No,
I'm not
I don't
sure
think
about that
works.
one. Yeah.
Well, I mean, if I'm yoinking it out of my partner's discard pile, I seem to have real-world control of it, so I'd believe it.
Yeah, you definitely don't own it. I'm not sure if you control it while you're committing it. I'm not sure.
Such a ridiculous sentence, but I follow you. It's like when I try to explain the different terms of Star Wars CCG to people. Like, I have presence, but I don't control, but I also am not present at this location.
Yeah. Oh, Star Wars.
Good times.
Oh, Star Wars.
Speaking of good
What
times.
a fine game. What a fine game.
Yes.
Speaking of fine,
Oh boy.
Jacqueline Fine, the psychic, is our next...
Saw that coming.
Ooh. It was... I see what you did there. Okay, that was better than mine. It's fine. I'll bow. She's the psychic. She's our mystic investigator. She's got 5 willpower, 3 intellect, 2 combat, 2 agility. She has the clairvoyant trait. Reaction: when an investigator at your location would reveal any number of chaos tokens, reveal 2 additional chaos tokens. Of the revealed tokens, choose and cancel 2 non-tentacle tokens or 1 tentacle token. Limit once per round. Elder Sign effect +1. If this effect is canceled or ignored, draw 1 card. She has 6 health and 9 sanitaire. So, many things to be said about her ability. The first thing I want to have said is she can cancel the tentacle token.
Yes.
For anyone. Key test once per round. She can be like, tentacle, not an option, not a problem. You don't have to worry about it.
Now you will have to worry about 2 other tokens.
Yes.
But if it is that key of a test, right? Like sometimes you can pile in skill cards. You can get whatever skill value up to a point where you're like, any 2 tokens in the bag, I pass.
It doesn't matter.
As long as you're not tentacle. Yeah.
Now the real question is, since she cancels 2 tokens or 1 if it's the tentacle, can I then place her under Diana Stanley?
Sure. Why not? Voltron Diana. Like, so is that just like Diana riding on her shoulders?
She just eats Jacqueline.
I thought she was redeemed cultist.
Yeah. Whoops. Yeah, so she's kind of like her ability is like Mateo's, but a little
Better.
less good.
Is the word you're looking for.
Well,
What?
no, I was gonna say no, but like if they were both once per game, it would be not as good. But the redeeming part is it's once per turn, is what I'm saying. So it's like
which
it
turns out is a lot better.
Right, and that's what I'm saying, right? Like it's a weird, because he turns it into the elder sign, which is one thing. Like you still have to pass this test, which might be with a -3 and a -4, which is almost a fail as well. But you can do this repeatedly.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing is, if you don't draw the tentacle, then you're drawing 3, canceling 2. It's basically like picking the best out of 3, which is pretty good odds that you're going to draw something you can pass.
And I love her elder sign effect, because this is the first elder sign since Rex where you might actually go, you know what, don't want to see the elder sign. Oh, I suppose Jim would fall in that category too sometimes. But it actually rewards you for not picking the elder sign.
Now, Scott, sorry, remind me, because as the rules guru, about the rules about revealing and then canceling that token as far as stuff that's looking for a certain token to be revealed.
if it is canceled, it is not considered to have been revealed.
Gotcha. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Because I'm pretty sure that's it. Because Grotesque Statue was the first time we saw that, I believe. But
So the core.
revealed to. You know what? No, sorry. It is revealed when it's canceled. Goodness, you guys talk.
Yeah,
I'll get
this
back
is
to
a
it in
tricky
1
one.
second. Because there's
So-
ignore and cancel, and
Yeah.
the 2 are different.
either way, I mean, Jacqueline is definitely playing into that, like, reveal a bunch of tokens and try to find what you need to trigger something.
And her ability aside, just having a mystic that starts at 5 willpower, which is great because mystics can do so much with willpower. And then 3 intellect, which is great because you can actually work with 3 intellect in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
That itself is worth noting, everything else aside. Oh, God, but beyond that, there are, she has to be, the culmination of all of the different mystic effects of, hey, go find this specific token because you want something cool from it, like Song of the Dead, or Hypnotic Gaze, or...
The Winchester.
Oh, wow!
Shards of the Void is a good one.
Ooh, shards! I love shards.
Yeah.
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 So Matt clarified: canceled and ignored tokens are not considered to be revealed.
Okay. So
Okay.
the original.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was a difference, but there is not.
Fair enough.
So you can still go digging for what you want, though. So
Yeah, it's a really good effect, and I think that Jacqueline is going to be one of those investigators where for those of you who do actually play multiplayer, when you sit down at a table and someone whips out their Jacqueline deck, you just go, yes. Because...
Your test just got better.
The ability to actually pass this to another investigator, I do not think can be understated. There are so many times when you're sitting down in a multiplayer game where... I know this is a lot. This is a lot. This is a lot for me to handle. But sometimes, guys, you are not the most important investigator at the table. And passing this ability to someone else when they're taking a pretty big test has a lot of value. And, guys, seeing 3 tokens, chances are one of those is going to make you succeed. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think she would be a really good candidate for a ceiling deck. Because like you manipulate the bag and then pull 3.
You just increase the odds that your ability is going to do what you want it to do.
Yeah, like right, you just made your ability easier, right? You seal those big minuses, so when someone does have to deal against 2 tokens, you seal the cultist that says reveal another token, because that's always a pain in the ass, especially when you premonition it or something. Like those ones. Oh my god, I love the design. I hate how it works against me.
Yes, for sure.
So she got a couple spells revealed with her, one of which is the new Shriveling, which is Azure Flame. 3 cost, level 0 asset, mystic, obviously. A combat icon. It's a spell. Uses 4 charges and has action, spend a charge, fight. Uses willpower instead of combat and deals +1 damage. If an Elder Sign +1 or 0 token is revealed during this attack, take 1 damage. Takes up the arcane slot.
So first of all, I never play Hard or Expert, but auto-include over Shriveling in Hard or Expert, correct?
Absolutely, because there's no +1 and there's less zeros. Like it's just, this is a less likely to fire negatively Shriveling.
Yeah. It's a cool design because it's less likely to fire, but when it does fire, it's hitting the stat that mystics are weaker on, which is health. So it's a cool design in that way. And I think for a lot of investigators, like, there's been a long time where mystics were searching for a second level 0 attack spell, and so I think for a lot of mystics, it's just going to be 2 Shriveling to Azure Flame. Like, I have consistency.
It's a Porque no los dos moment.
Yep.
And I think, Ian, do you want to just read Clairvoyance? Because I think they just go hand in hand.
Sure.
Like,
Clairvoyance, 4 cost asset, level 0, intellect icon, spell traded, uses 3 charges, action, spend 1 charge, investigate. Investigate using will instead of intellect, and if you succeed, discover 1 additional clue at this location. And same as Azure Flame, if Elder Sign +1 or 0 token, it triggers, but in this case, you're taking horror instead of damage.
Okay, so Scott,
it's like Shriveling for clues.
I agree with you that that it goes hand in hand with Azure Flame, but I think Clairvoyance is significantly better than Rite of Seeking, than Azure Flame is better than Shriveling. If that
I'd agree.
You're saying Clairvoyance is better than Rite of Seeking?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? Yes, 100%. I agree completely.
There's a larger differential between how good it is compared to Rite of Seeking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like if you're playing Azure Flame on standard, like you know, you're playing like Azure Flame, it's Shriveling number 3 and 4. Like you draw an Azure Flame or a Shriveling, you're like, cool, I don't really care, because they're so closely tied. Absolutely, Clairvoyance is leaps and bounds better than Rite of Seeking.
I'll take horror all day over losing actions and
ending my turn.
No, I was going to say, anyone who can take this already has more sanity than health anyway. And, oh god, just the threat of ending your turn. It's just like, there's so many situations where you have to play around Rite of Seeking, because you have to be like, I can't do this first action, because if I draw a symbol, even if I succeed, I'm losing out on 2 actions, which is horrible.
Yeah, that's the thing about it, is it forces you into this pen of like, okay, I gotta investigate last action. And Clairvoyance doesn't care, just investigate.
Yeah. I would go as far to say that Azure Flame is Shriveling 3 and 4, and Rite of Seeking is Clairvoyance number 3 and 4.
Yeah, for sure.
Agree.
Yeah. Which I think if you're going super clue heavy mystic, like that is your role in your group, is something like that, like Ian Safina when you were playing her in Carcosa, right? Like you were our flexi clue person. Like Clairvoyance would be an instant hit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
for sure,
pretty solid. Solid.
Are we gonna read the next card, or this evening's gonna last forever?
So is it
Sean?
me? I'm gonna take it. Yeah. Okay. All right. This is fine. It's fine. So Robes of Endless Night is a level 2 mystic asset. It is 2 cost. It has a willpower and agility icons. It has the item and clothing traits.
Woo.
Reaction: when you play a spell card, exhaust Robes of Endless Night. Reduce the cost of that card by 1. Playing that card does not provoke attacks of opportunity. and it has 2 health.
And takes up the body slot.
And takes up the body slot, thank you. So this is really good.
Yes.
So this is really, really good because...
Just so you know, everyone.
In case you were curious. There's so many times for pace because you have to prep for drawing an enemy so many times. And taking an attack of opportunity can be really taxing depending on your investigator, depending on your enemy, depending on when you draw it, depending on whether you're ready or not. The idea of this being kind of an econ card, kind of it's not quite sleight of hand, but it's almost there. It still costs you an action to play because that's fine. Although if you're playing Uncage the Soul, you could still use this and reduce the card by another one, right? So you could reduce it by a total of 4.
Yep.
Really, really good for the pace of, I think, particularly solo mystics, but I would also say flexi mystics, and also anyone who's just going to be engaged with enemies a lot.
Yeah, like in solo, being able to hold back playing your shriveling or whatever till you need it. Like it's an action that you can keep putting off and using for something else during the turns where you don't have enemies. And then when an enemy shows up and you do need that shriveling down, Robes of Endless Night allows you to then spend that action now, right? Instead of putting your shriveling down 3 turns ago and...
Where it was technically a wasted action until you've drawn the enemy.
Right? And so, yeah, I realize that's a very small action economy type look at this. But I think that's super important to solo. Like that's what, and reducing it by 1 too. That's
that's potentially. I don't want to get into click economy and resources and actions, but it's all stuff that's increasing your tempo for sure. And it's one of the things. It's like the biggest struggle or drawback for mystics, for my money, is like how long it takes, especially in solo. And as a long-time rogue player, I think one of the things that make rogues strong solo investigators is because for a lot of them, I just don't play down a weapon because I don't need to. I'll either slide it in later or evade and play it. It's like, it seems like it's a small thing, but it makes a big difference. Like, the more you can limit your initial setup and just get going towards the victory condition, like, the better off you're going to be.
And I feel like this is amazing in Luke, because you're probably going to be playing a decent amount of spell events because he has all his tricks with that. Like, this is going to save you a lot of money.
Luke? Marie? Diana?
Yep.
Jacqueline?
Are they purple? It's good for them.
Chances are it's pretty okay. Also, I will refer you to the Peter Dinklage Space Pants skit from SNL because this is very reminiscent of Space Robes. Oh god, just so good. And you know what? At level 2, like Daisy could take this if you're leaning kind of purple. Norman takes this and potentially could reduce it even more if you're playing it off the top of your deck.
Oh, that would be nice, I want to see Norman in these rocking these robes.
Space pants!
I mean, he could play this for 1 off the top of his deck and then reduce other...
God.
Yeah.
Oh, I want it now.
It's... I think this is right where it needs to be. It soaks the damage before you lose it. 2 costs, 2 intellect, body slot, which is not super contentious for a lot of the investigators who want to take this.
Yeah, no. Like, fine clothes has been really the only big one. If anything.
Love it.
It's really recharged my vigor for mystics. Recharge is a spell, by the way. Oh, but it costs 0. It's a 0 cost.
But no attacks of opportunity, Scott.
Which could be important. Yeah.
You're right. Okay,
it's like a free dodge.
It is. Okay, recharge. Mystic event. Level 4. 3 willpower icons. Spell traded. Choose a spell or relic asset controlled by investigator at your location and reveal a random chaos token from the chaos bag. If you reveal a bad stuff token, including the tentacle, add 1 charge to the chosen asset. Otherwise, add 4 charges to the chosen asset.
Oof.
This is a loot card.
Oof.
Jacqueline obviously makes this way more likely to avoid the bad stuff token and make sure you get the 4 charges.
But like, worst case scenario, you're still adding a charge to a card you wanted to
Yeah,
add charges
instead of-
to.
Sure. You're just
So
not
this
happy
is-
about it.
As opposed to just losing the card you were trying to continue using.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big difference.
Can you imagine a gate box, like using gate box like 10 times in a game? Like every turn gate boxing? Like it's just...
Every turn I'm gateboxing. Boop, 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 boop.
That was amazingly terrible. Thank you for that.
That's the subtitle of our podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only thing is it's 4 XP, which is a lot.
It's not nothing.
We got delves you deep.
You got Delve, and if you find yourself in a game, or I feel like there are some games where actually your pace is good, your charges have worked, or you found the second copy at the right time and were able to pay for it. There are some games where you just don't actually want to play this. 3 willpower icons and a mystic is fine. You're okay with it.
Yeah. You're passing whatever test you want pass.
We're on to well, okay, Scott. I know you just read, but I think it's still worth giving you this one.
Okay.
Why don't you carry us to the next investigator?
Well, we're talking about Stella, so I'll let her carry us to... okay, anyways.
Abandoned ship.
Yeah, abort. Stella Clarke, she is the letter carrier. 3 willpower, 2 intellect, 3 combat, 4 agility. Notably, the first investigator that has not had a 5 in a stat. She is chosen and civic traded. I think both of those are new.
That
Is
sounds
civic
right.
new as
Seems
well?
like it.
Chosen is for sure. Reaction: after you fail a skill test, you may take an additional action during your turn this round. Limit once per round. Elder Sign effect +1. You may instead choose to automatically fail this damage to fail this test to heal a damage and a horror. And she has 8 health and 8 horror.
Tanky AF.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I think she's going to be quite a good solo investigator because
Oh, yeah.
you can fail a test in the Mythos. And I mean, Survivor has so much failing forward stuff that if you find the right tests to fail in the Mythos, you now have a 4-action turn that's not limited like Finn or Ursula or Tony. Like, it's just an action. Go ahead. So
Or hell, like this is the first time I've thought like I'd play Drawing Thin post Taboo in Stella.
yeah. Oh goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, turn Mythos phase into an extra action for sure.
and cards and resources, and
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
especially because there's often those tests too where it's like, if you fail, drop a clue, or if you fail, do something that you're like, that's fine, I can compensate for that in the class that compensates for failing tests, right? You have your rabbit's foot. It's like, oh, I'm going to fail this, Drawing Thin, rabbit's foot, all this, gain an extra action. I'm going to commit Take Heart. Like, fail a test in the Mythos phase, get an extra action, 4 cards, 3 resources. Okay. Sounds good. So,
Yeah. I feel like if Stella had been the core set Survivor, there wouldn't have been as much to play with. But at this point, with all of like the fail forward skill test stuff, oh, there's so much to do here.
Yep. Well, we were recently talking in our own chat about how like every one of the best solo investigators has some form of action compression built in, and lo and behold, Stella Clarke. And to a passerby, they might say, "Well, you have to fail a skill test." But the thing I kind of look at it is, you are going to fail in Arkham at some point. It's going to happen. And the thing is, the times when you are failing are the times when you need extra actions to get out of that situation. And when you're not failing, you're probably doing pretty good anyway. So I feel like she's kind of countering against and shoring you up when you really most need it.
it's I must say, though, Ian, that's a pretty grim look at failing
Go on.
Arkham.
Ian,
Yes,
I feel like
I'm
you
here.
were wrong, so you should read.
I'm here, barely still holding on.
Yeah. Fail forward like a survivor.
2. I might need this to heal my own horror. 2 cost asset, level 0. 1 will icon. This is Grimm's Fairy Tales. Item and tome traded. Uses 4 secrets. Reaction: after an investigator at your location fails a skill test, there we go, by 2 or more, exhaust Grimm's Fairy Tales and spend 1 secret. Heal 1 horror from that investigator. Okay.
And takes up a hand slot.
Oh, it takes up a hand slot. Yep.
You know, I gotta say, I am a Survivor fanboy. This one is like one of the first cards I'm like, okay. Like, it's okay to me.
From a thematic standpoint, I have to say, like, every time I've actually gone to Grimm's Fairy Tales from Disney, I've actually taken horror.
Yeah, that's true.
But I suppose it might have been different in the 20s.
Sure. Is it because this is potentially a better splash for someone than it is for actual survivors who just have like a lot of other soaks that they might not be needing this kind of horror heal?
I feel okay. So here's what I think it is. I think you want your healing to be like a rebound from failing or from overextending, right? Whether it's Agnes's ability or, hey, I had to take an attack of opportunity to get this thing done, or whatever it is. So you want your healing to be like on point, on command, reliable and consistent.
Right.
And this kind of asks a bit of you to actually get to it.
I can kind of see this in like someone like Finn.
Sure.
Where he's going to be hitting those willpower tests and, rake stepping, as we talked about earlier. And this is when he rake steps, he can heal a bit of horror. Because I find when I'm Finn, if I slow down and I'm not doing so well, it's usually horror that takes me out.
Mm-hmm.
And so I could see this as a decent splash into Finn.
The only problem with Finn is like taking up that hand slot kind of makes me a little like he's very handy. He uses his hand slots a lot.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've been wondering like maybe Agnes, but at the same time, like I feel like despite the fact that Agnes is off-class survivor, you don't really plan to do the failing thing with her very often. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tight.
It would be nice to have extra healing. That's a tough one. Well, I know someone who would want to take this probably, and that's Caroline.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Sure. Especially because in multiplayer, this is specifically an investigator at your location. Heal it from that investigator.
And then they gain a resource.
Yep. She likes reading fairy tales to people. It's a cutting-edge therapy.
I still think for a hand slot, this is a little conditional.
Yeah.
Yeah, I almost want to see an upgraded version of this that throws something else in there for you to sweeten the pot.
Where they also gain an experience because they learned a very important life lesson and cautionary tale.
Mm-hmm.
This card really makes us grit our teeth.
All right.
Okay. Just grit your teeth is a one-cost survivor event.
A few more and I can
wild.
finish my bingo card.
Yeah. It's a wild icon, and it's spirit traded, so Calvin can take it. Fast, play after you fail a skill test. You get +1 to each of your skills for the remainder of the round. This is like the opposite of, what is that Guardian skill?
Intrepid.
You should know it very well, Scott.
Yep.
Yeah.
For Stella specifically, because she's getting that extra action anyway, and then you're getting +1 to each of your skills. That seems well worth it for 1 cost. For Stella, at least.
And I really feel like Stella, like one of the main builds for her is going to be as quickly as you can upgrade into drawing thin, and your first action each turn, try to set it up so you fail it, and then reap a bunch of benefits off of failing it.
Yeah. You put your take hearts, you do drawing thin, you grit your teeth, so your next 3 tests are good because you're going to get that extra action, right? Like every turn just starts off explosively. Yeah. And then you just cruise through the rest of the game. Yeah, I think that's Stella's modus operandi. MO.
MO.
Yeah. I think this is a fine little card.
It's a fun little card, and it's a wild icon, if nothing else.
Yeah. Potentially a Calvin card who fails a lot in the early game.
Yeah, and then he gets the +1s to help him through. Like, he fails in the Mythos phase, and then you give him a boost for the remainder of the round.
Yep.
So I have a question for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, mentally, it would be easier to process for a card that has a wild icon if there was just one of each of the basic icons on the card? Like, because if every card that had just a single wild icon had the 4 icons instead, I feel like we'd look at that and go, wow, 4 icons. But a wild icon's a little bit easy for your eyes to slide off of before you really appreciate it.
I kind of do agree with that, because there's one time I was talking to our friend Brandon of Optimal Play, and he mentioned we were reviewing cards back in the old AV club, and like we were looking at like Eureka or something, and it had 3 icons, and I'm like, man, this is great. It's got 3 icons, so it's really versatile. He's like, yeah, but it's just straight up worse than just a single wild icon. And while I knew that, it kind of like, hearing it out loud, I was like, oh yeah. So whenever I see these cards with 3 different icons on them, now I always think back to that. I'm like, it's just not quite as good as a wild icon. But yeah, you're totally right. Like, you look at that one icon, you're like, but you see a 3 icon card, you're like, wow, look at all the things I can do with it. And that it's like, that wild icon is just better.
It's a mental game. It's like seeing a price that's $2.99 and you go like, oh fuck, that's cheaper than $3.
Yeah.
And it is, but it's also not.
Yeah. It's also $3. Like, and in Canada, we don't have the penny, so we round up anyways. So.
Ian, I want to do the last one, so can you take this next one?
Cool. The 18 Derringer is, or 1/8 Derringer, 2-cost asset to level 2 combat and agility icons, item, weapon, firearm, illicit. Uses 3 ammo, action, spend 1 ammo, fight, you get +2 combat and deal +1 damage for this attack. If you fail, place 1 ammo on the Derringer, and the next time you trigger this ability this round, you get an additional +1 combat for that attack. It's not a bad little weapon.
Good.
Yeah. For only 2 cost.
Yep.
2 cost for 3 ammo, and you're basically guaranteed that you're not going to waste ammo, which is pretty huge.
Yeah, every single one of those bullets is going to hit.
Yes.
I was about to say, like, uses 3 ammo, but this actually has more ammo on it in most games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's actually like a bar. It's got... I mean, then you're missing everything, but... Yeah.
I just love the idea of, like, fanning the hammer on a Derringer on a single-shot pistol.
Yeah. Yeah, this is... I mean, 2 XP, so you do have to upgrade into it, but, man, once you have it, like, this is a nice...
Yeah.
This is a nice little gun.
+2 combat. And if you fail, you get an additional +1 combat.
Yeah.
Dude, I love this in, like, Yorick with Active Desperation. It's like a so little... it's like a cheap little cycle you can have going on with it.
Mm-hmm.
It good.
Yeah.
It's also illicit, so... What's Finn's deck building?
Is it level 3 illicit? Oh, no, he's 0 to 5 illicit, isn't he?
Yeah, because he's 0 to 3 rogue and 0 to 5 illicit.
Damn! Yeah, that's good.
I was going to say, too, like, this is a perfect little Finn gun.
It's a solid slight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you're probably spending that experience on the rogue Derringer, but, you know, beyond that, solid.
Yeah, why not both?
¿Por qué no los dos?
Especially solo Finn, like, you're not going to need more than 3 shots, probably.
Yeah, definitely not. It's usually very targeted, like 1 or 2 enemies. Yep.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel like this is going to find its way into a lot of the, like, strict survivor decks. If that makes sense. Like, the ones who don't have an off-class option for a weapon.
Right.
This is really good.
Yeah, like, I can see this in Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
Like, getting that...
I can see this in Silas pretty easily.
Yeah.
For 2
absolutely.
XP and 2 cost, like, yeah. Sure.
I think Wendy skips on it. Although
Probably.
it does take care of rats quite well. But...
On standard.
Yeah. She could get better at it. She could be a pretty quick learner.
It turns out. So Quick Learner is our first official 4 cost.
Now I know why you wanted it.
4th level. 4th level.
You've broken the seal.
survivor asset. It is permanent, so it is in fact 8 XP. No, that's exceptional.
No, I
take it back.
It's just
permanent. It just means it starts in play and does not count against your deck size. I played this game, guys.
It might feel like
promise.
8, but
I promise. During or before your first action of each of your turns, each skill test you perform gets +1 difficulty. And during or after your third action of each of your turns, each skill test you perform gets -1 difficulty. Okay, so first thing I have to do is throw out that I think, and this is just this is an assumption on my part, but I think Matt's still in the chat here, so he may confirm or deny this. But I think that this was inspired by my favorite Game of Thrones agenda.
I was just thinking of that one.
The Lord of the Crossing, which to me is the perfect encapsulation of what this kind of card does, where it is just a key part of your deck that gives you a really cool benefit, but also provides you a restriction to work around, and it guides both your deck building and your play to a degree that is, I don't know, it's fun for me. I enjoy them. So it seems perfect in Stella, though. This is just what we were talking about. You take drawing thin early. You maybe take this early. Let's see here. So this doesn't increase your difficulty during the Mythos phase, though, does it? Only during your turn.
it helps you of each of your turns. No, it's during or before.
Before your first action.
Of each of your turns. So in the Mythos phase, you get +1.
Yep. Difficulty to
Do you though, or does this only activate during your turn, both the plus and the minus, and your Mythos phase is neutral?
No, during or before your first action. So before your first action of each of your turns.
Yeah. So I think it
right. So
takes
it only affects your skill test during your turns. That's what that means, right?
Oh, Quick Learner only applies during each of your turns.
Matt just said it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So it doesn't affect your Mythos phase plus or minus, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You can try to plan your first action to fail. If you succeed, great, because, occasionally with Survivor that does happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
you accidentally succeed.
You accidentally succeed. But if not, then you keep going.
Yeah, this is super fun. And like with Stella, now if you get that fourth action, you'll have 2 actions that have -1 difficulty. And minuses are always better than like
increasing
instead of
skill.
you getting +1 skill, it's better for the difficulty to go down. Because if you ever hit 0, then you're pretty much you can't fail except unless you draw the tentacle or you have 13th vision out.
So like Ashcan or Wendy could also take Leo DeLuca and benefit from your fourth action as well.
Yes. Ashcan and Wendy could also take was it Swift Reflexes?
Yes.
Is it it's the Skids ability on a card?
Yeah,
event?
It's skids in a box.
Yeah. And then you do Quick Thinking on like your third skill.
Thank you, Ian.
Yeah. On your third skill, you could play Quick Thinking and get another action.
Oof.
Yeah, like you could daisy chain this to be a lot of actions at -1 difficulty.
Hey, Daisy can't take this.
Why? What? Did I say Daisy?
Daisy chain.
Daisy chain.
Oh God.
All right, sorry.
And the cast. Cut the feed.
That throwaway comment got way more attention than I intended. All right. It's really cool. I love these cards that provide you both a benefit and restriction, because it kind of changes the way you build and play, and I feel like that's fun.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
That's a really good justification for a card like this to exist. Kind of like Dark Horse, I suppose. It would be another example, but given that this one's permanent, it's a little bit easier to actually warp your whole strategy around.
I think it's less restrictive, and
I wonder if we'll ever get a permanent Dark Horse, or is that too good?
That would be interesting.
Oof.
Sure would.
First level 5. One thing I like about this too is it's only one test that you're ever going to get +1 difficulty. But if you play your cards right, you can get multiple skill tests where it's -1 difficulty in a turn. Right? Like the maximum downside you're going to get is the first, and it's the first action, right? So if you move for your first action, okay, Now there's no downside, right? Like you put your tests at the end of your turn. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's enough of a restriction to make you think about it, but it's not a terrible restriction.
No,
Like
it really isn't.
You can play around it pretty easily. And then
You can benefit from it.
is there anyone who can use this and Ace in the Hole? There's not, is there? That's probably a good thing.
No, there is not.
I'm trying to think.
If this had stayed at 3, like all other Survivor cards did, then Lola could do it.
Oh,
That's
right,
about it.
Lola.
Rita, right? Because she could take
needed
tricks. Rita can do this.
Is Ace in the Hole a trick?
It's a trick. Yep. Sure is.
And can Rita take
So Rita
level...
can do this?
Yep. Ace in the Hole's a trick, and she can take this
Trick
card.
cards level 0 to 3. Wow, Rita can do it. All right, Rita. Ian's
right.
doing the happy dance right now.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't see him nor hear him.
Yeah.
And I think, because I was kind of thinking that most often you would only be taking this with investigators that are going to get extra actions, because otherwise it's just a wash, like +1, -1 each way. Which I think is mostly true, but I think there are ways you can adjust your playstyle that, yeah, you're moving first, or you're taking, like, say you're Rita and your agility is already freaking bonkers through the roof. If your first action is an agility, like, +1 difficulty is probably not, like, killing you.
Yeah, I still think even if you're only dealing with 3 actions a turn and it's, technically mathematically a wash, you can still play around it such that you can glean an advantage.
Well, and this being in Stella, right? And, like, obviously built for her.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so in a normal turn, you have 3 actions. One is harder, one's normal, one's easier. But if you fail that harder one, now you have 4 actions. It's a harder, normal, easy, or easier, I should say. And so you're getting way more benefit than downside out of this.
Yeah.
This is a great card.
I can't wait to play
It takes
Stella.
playing around, but yeah.
Also, I really, really, really would be very quick to throw money down on this particular chess set.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Is this like a life-size, like the Harry Potter
Oh, yeah.
giant chess set?
It's an actual heart.
Yeah.
There.
So, guys, that wraps up our pedestrian coverage of the... and I say pedestrian, we've talked about this for literally an hour and a half. Of the starter deck investigators. Oh, I'm so excited for when these come out, but we have no idea when that's going to be.
Oh, man, I want them so bad.
And there's more cards spoiled on the video they put out. So, like, we didn't even touch all the cards.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't surprise me to know, and we can say for sure that other podcast spoiled a couple, so go check their things out.
They've spoiled for Stella, actually. Their 2 cards were...
They did one for Winnie and one for Stella.
Oh, right. And it was Stella's Sig, wasn't it?
Oh, I believe that to be the case.
Yeah, so I think... Do we know Stella's weakness? I don't think so.
I do not know.
I don't think so. I think that hasn't been spoiled yet.
Right. Okay.
So
Winnie's the only one you can play.
Yeah.
Currently.
I can't confirm in any direction, but it wouldn't surprise me to see other spoilers and previews from other pockets of the community, so pay attention to everyone. And, guys, should I tell them?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're holding out on you, it turns out.
We're terrible people.
Oh, God. There's going to be pitchforks headed towards Mythos Busters headquarters now.
It's okay. Any press is good press, right?
Yeah.
We have more previews to give you, and we're going to do it on the next episode. So we've got a couple more cards from these starter decks to talk about. We're going to do another edition of Look What I Found. So follow our Twitch channel if you have not already. We're going to do that the next couple weeks. And then we'll talk about them on the next podcast, quite sure. Okay. Well,
Oof, I'm
cigarettes
spent.
for everyone.
I'm spent.
And let's drive it on into a little bit of calm tentacle time here. Ian, what has been grabbing your free time of late?
This is a pretty easy answer, and it's the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yeah, I think everyone knows by now that I always have grand ambitions to play video games, and then I never do. But this is what I've actually been playing, to the detriment of pretty much most other things. So yeah, I was at that age when Final Fantasy came out. I was in high school that it was very influential in my gaming life, and my friend brought it over and we played it for like the entire three-day weekend, I think it was. So as soon as I knew they were remaking it, I was like, okay, as soon as it comes out, I'm getting it and playing it. And so I have. And it's very good so far. I'm very happy with what they've done with the remake overall. I don't know what to... Just, it's amazing how much... Like, it just shows how much gaming has grown in the intervening, like, however many years it's been, almost, like, more than 20 years. Just the things they can do, like, fleshing out these characters. Yeah, it's been, I think it was, like, 97 or 98 when it came out. But, yeah. Like, the world building they can do now, making you, like, Midgar feel real, and the characters, it's yeah. Good.
And living in an age when eco-terrorism doesn't sound quite so insane.
Sure, yeah.
Not advocating for violence at all, but I get
it. Go Avalanche. Getting that Avalanche tattoo primed and ready. And the combat system is overall I enjoy it. I'm kind of more of like when I'm playing JRPGs, I'm always kind of wishing we were back in like the turn-based days. I think that's the board gamer in me. But I think overall I'm enjoying what they've done with it, even for someone who kind of wants that. And the only other thing is I've been playing a lot of a Switch game with my son, which is Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, which is what is the name for this genre? Like the Final Fantasy tactic genre of like move guys around a board.
Turn-based tactical role-playing game.
Sure.
I believe that to be correct.
And I know that because my tentacle time is Mario and Rabbids Kingdom.
All right. Let's talk, Scott.
Okay. Hey! I
Sean,
got mine
step
for
aside
free
for a second
with my Switch, and I thought I was the only one in the world who actually liked this game.
Let's talk, everyone.
I bought it because it was 75% off and it was only $20.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
I like these kind of games.
It's so surprisingly good, like robust as a strategy game.
Well, you explain the premise to anyone, and you're like, "Oh, that's a throwaway game for kids." Like the fucking, like the Rabbids, like like you
what is
remember
a
that
rabbit?
shit, and you're like, but it is actually quite good.
So, okay, I have a theory that I told my wife about.
Go on.
And I think this game, based on some of the humor and based on the writing and like some of the abilities and the functions and like how the characters play, I have a theory that this was actually built as a Marvel game, and then Marvel backed out and they're like, oh shoot, we need a license to just paint on this. And they decided to go with Mario and Rabbids. Because like, one, it's a Mario game, but there's guns, which is just like kind of like,
That is a little off character.
And like not just like haha fun guns, like Luigi is a sniper, right? Like he has a sniper rifle.
Yeah, there's like Gatling guns.
Right? Like there's Gatling guns like that. And some of the jokes, like there's toilet humor, there's the little robot you follow around, he swears a bunch. And then when you go through those blue cannons and you go like to this like AI like holodeck looking thing, I'm like, that's totally not like, that reminds me of something from Marvel. Like that would be, who's the computery guy? Like Ultron space something. I don't know. Like it just, I got this feeling. I'm like, this was a Marvel game when it first started, and they had to adjust mid development.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see that. Can't confirm it, but I could see it.
Yeah. Anyways. Fun little game. I just actually finished it last night, so.
Point of interest, you can play it co-op. Like, it doesn't add much to the gameplay, but you can just toss a controller to another player and be like, hey, here you go, you're Luigi now.
Yeah.
Just like in the old days.
Yeah. There's also versus, too, so, I mean, we're going to have to... I didn't realize all three of us have this, so now it's on, boys.
Battle shall be had.
Yeah.
And I'm fairly certain that Nick now owns a Switch, so I'm pretty sure we can peer pressure him into a 4-way.
Oh, boy.
Which is my favorite thing to do.
This has really stoked my fire again for that genre, which Final Fantasy Tactics is one of my all-time favorite games, but I haven't really dabbled too much after that, so if anyone has any good suggestions in that genre...
Oh, I have
all
so
ears.
many, Ian. I have
send them
so
my way.
many.
Send them my way.
First one is going to be Fire Emblem.
Okay.
And I don't care which Fire Emblem you pick, though I'd recommend, since you have a Switch, probably going with Three Houses.
Mm-hmm.
Though, if you have a 3DS, Awakening?
I do.
I believe was the 3DS one. Awakening was great. Was so good.
Mm-hmm.
And
If you have a Game Boy Advance,
I do not.
Advance Wars 1 through
Advance.
a million.
Advance Wars is great. And Scott, what's the one that they came out with that was like the spiritual successor of?
I know. It's on the Nintendo Switch.
Casey says in chat, Tactics Ogre for your PSP.
Or your GBA.
How about for my Atari Lynx? You got anything?
Yeah. Oh God. Wargroove.
Wargroove. That's
Yeah.
the one.
That one's really good. It's on Switch as well. If you like that, oh God, I love Wargroove.
Okay,
I'll play that one.
I'll
with
have
you
to
too.
check that out.
If you have a Game Boy Advance or a DS, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, and then Advance 2 for the DS, really good. I poured hundreds of hours into that one. I wore out my SP. The hinge on my SP finally broke because of how many hours I put into Final Fantasy Tactics Advance.
Wow.
It's a fun little genre to just sit down and you can set it down between turns and it doesn't require 100% of your attention, and
I think it just speaks to the board gamer in me. It's like a very board game type experience.
Yeah, it's got very, very similar DNA.
Mm-hmm.
A very favorite genre of mine. So you played like Tactics on the PS1, I assume?
Yeah, I would have been back in those days.
So, did you get a PSP perchance?
I did not. No, I never got one of those.
Well, they're super cheap now, and the remaster essentially that they did of the Final Fantasy Tactics first game, which is called War of the Lions. You can get it on PSP super cheap, or I'm pretty sure they've actually ported it over to mobile now.
They did. It's
to
on
buy
my phone.
a Square Enix. Oh, you did? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So you played it.
Yeah, that's how I got back into the genre. I've started playing through that.
Beautiful.
Again. Yeah.
So good, so good. And Phil Lamar played Delita in that version, and slid even as a voiceover nerd, he slid under my radar really hard. Phil Lamar is the dude who plays Hermes in Futurama.
Yeah.
Among many other characters.
Lots of what. Yeah.
And he plays this really wafy, high-voiced white boy in Final Fantasy Tactics, and I never ever would have assumed it was him.
It's still one of my favorite Final Fantasy and video game stories too. Aside from the gameplay,
It's really good.
yeah.
And to that end, did you ever play 12?
No.
Okay, 12 is now on Switch as well, and it's the advanced years later version. 12 I really liked, and it takes place in the same world as Final Fantasy Tactics.
You have my attention.
No, we should talk later.
Okay.
Scott, what has been holding thine attention aside from Mario
Rabbids.
Rabbids?
That's honestly what I've been playing. I finished that game in 2 weeks,
Nice.
and I don't have a lot of spare time because of everything that's going on.
Sure.
I crushed that game. So now I'm going back and doing all the challenges and I was going to talk about Rabbids. It's really fun. It was worth $20.
Yeah, it's cheap now, so definitely recommended.
Yeah.
It's a good little game. For my part, I've picked up Control on Justin's recommendation and a couple of my other friends. Really been having a good time with that. It's part X-Files, part SCP, part PsyOps for the 12 people who played PsyOps on PS2. Really fun. And then I finally, again, due to Justin, got a hold of some of the Marvel expansions. So I have been able to actually experience the game beyond the core set. Thor, I was really looking forward to him. My initial instinct is that he's maybe a little underpowered, but we'll see. For Thor?
I think he's much better in, like, 4-player. When you can, like, grab every enemy on the board and then just, like, thunder slam them.
There's always going to be minions around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thor, okay, yeah, so Programs with Wolves and Casey are kind of confirming my suspicions here that he's scenario specific, and I could see that, and that's kind of unfortunate because I really like Thor. He's like the version of Superman that's actually entertaining because he has personality flaws.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, I just grabbed Black Widow and Captain America, and I'm going to play around with those, and I'm really looking forward to it.
You got Black Widow?
I have Black Widow.
Oh my god. I'm not going to get that thing for months.
If I'm not mistaken, Black Widow was designed, initially at least, by Matt.
Yes.
Yep,
that's his
He did the reveal stream.
Aha.
Even, yeah.
So, yeah, looking forward to playing out a little bit beyond the core set at this point. So,
we'll have to play.
I can't remember. Yeah, for sure. I can't remember if I mentioned it on the last episode, but I actually cracked out my Lord of the Rings cards that I had not touched in a very long time. And I spent 3.5 hours opening, sleeving, and sorting my Lord of the Rings cards with the intent to get through the new content.
When you open your case, was it like opening the chamber of Mazerpool? Like the dusty tomb?
I delved indeed too brutally and too deep. But yeah, so I got everything sorted and sleeved, and I started to pull player cards out to try to start to build a new player deck to go up against the new quests. And in 5 minutes, I had panicked, put everything away, and pulled Arkham back out. So maybe someday, I don't know, 3.5 hours wasn't like enough to get me caught up, but I think I'm at the point. It makes me sad because Lord of the Rings used to be like my main game. I played so much of that back in the day. I might be at the point where I'm just net decking next time I want to play, and there's no shame in it.
No,
but there is some personal reticence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of at that place where I was trying to catch up and play Temple of Doom, which is a more recent scenario, and also an Indiana Jones movie, and
for which the PG-13 rating was invented.
Was it really?
Yes.
Oh.
I just had that argument with my wife today, and she totally fucking won. So
no one ever say Mythos Busters is not informative. But anyway, I was in a similar place where I'm rusty, and that quest was kicking my ass. And then friend of the show and just friend in general, Mortendahl, he suggested a deck strategy, which I tweaked, but basically used his building blocks and his approach, and I beat it. So yeah. I'm not above a good net decking and copying from others at this point.
So many games to play during quarantine, and yet somehow so little time. All right, well, I think that's going to wrap us up. We're almost at 3 hours, so I hope everyone who's hoping for a meaty episode is entertained, and everyone who's hoping for a short episode has probably stopped listening a long time ago. So sorry, guys. So join us next time where we will preview a couple more exclusive player cards from upcoming sets. And as always, everyone stay safe during quarantine, and we'll catch you for the next Mythos Busters. Bye!